All right, take your clothes off. We're getting right into it this morning. Right into it. Welcome in Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. Let's get our heads right on a Thursday, March 14th. Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. I already said that.
Good morning, guys.
But good morning. Very, very excited to be here this morning. Huge news to discuss. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Ryle. He is the executive producer and imaging director. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Benjamin R. Higgins.
Great morning.
Great morning.
How about
Benjamin
that?
R. Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning, everybody.
Good to be here with you guys. I have been laughing incessantly at all the people tweeting at me going, hey, at least you got something to talk about on the roundtable today. I said, yeah, I think I could have covered it in the allotted 4 hours that we have to talk about it today as well. But today you will get a fifth hour of Ben and Woods. Today is our roundtable pizza roundtable. I mean, we could wait till 10 to discuss it, but I feel like that'd be weird for us on it is a throwback Thursday, but we are going to get right into the huge news that came down right around old people's dinner time yesterday. And by old people, I mean me.
The Padres, of course, acquiring Dylan Cease from the Chicago White Sox in a package for 4 players: Drew Thorpe, Jairo Iriarte, Samuel Zavala, and Steven Wilson yesterday, as they add an ace of the staff, a frontline starter to join with Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Michael King, and whoever ends up being the 5th starter to bolster a rotation on the eve here of the 2024 season, with the team currently en route to South Korea. They are scheduled to arrive a little bit early in Seoul. The flight seems to be going well across the Pacific Ocean. And according
tracking them right now?
I've seen other people tracking them. I am not on the Tracker app, but it is definitely available out there. And while Dylan Cease is not on that plane, according to reports, he will be joining the team in the next day or two, and likely will be available if they would like to pitch him against the Dodgers next week in one of the first 2 games of the season.
I know, think about from his perspective. Number one, I mean, I'm sure and I can tell by just the research that I did, the people that I talked to last night, going and looking at his Instagram, he really liked pitching for the Chicago White Sox. Now, that's a team that was honestly not really going anywhere. And I think many people, this year at least, we're like, well, maybe the Padres aren't going anywhere either with the beast up north and all that. But boy, the narrative flips on a dime when you add a guy like Dylan Cease. And I think for him, he's also like, okay, I'm looking at who's playing behind me back there, and I keep the ball down. I get to pitch in Petco Park. I'm gonna have a good time. San Diego's a beautiful place as well. But the think about when he gets that news, and they're like, hey, by the way, we're all gone. We're on a plane. We're getting out of here. Jump on a plane by yourself. Come on out. 14-hour flight to Korea. We'll see you when you get out there. Get you acclimated.
We'll
maybe
get you the extra leg room and coach seating. The Coach Plus on the way over.
Dude, I got to go by myself? Really? Okay. I guess I'll see you guys over there. Welcome to the Padres, buddy, where nothing is ever not weird. It's always weird. There's always something weird going on. Making a huge trade, Ben, 15 minutes before the plane taxis
just give me,
out.
what were your initial reactions when you heard the news yesterday that Dylan Cease was joining the Padres?
I was excited to see.
Fist pump, excitement, correct?
Fister, absolutely, yeah, 100%. I was like, oh my God.
What was it, about 4:15?
Yeah, about 4:15.
4:30, somewhere in that range.
So I gave
Jeff passing with the passing bomb.
I gave it the big, oh my God.
And of course, he doesn't tell you.
No, he didn't tell you.
Who's in the return.
So
You're
that,
just dying.
That was the next part of oh God. And in my mind, I immediately made my list of people that would bum me out if they were part of the return. And it was honestly, it was Jackson Merrill, Ethan Salas, which I thought there's no effing way that happened. So get it out of your head now. Drew Thorpe was in there for me. Iriarte was in there for me. Snelling was in there for me. Lesko was in there for me. And I thought, it's going to be, better get strapped in, because it's going to be at least one, maybe 2 of those guys. Then there were names where I'm like, if it's him, it's him. Whatever. I didn't really want to move big league pieces either. That was this better be prospect intensive. And, as you mentioned, did end up losing Steven Wilson in that deal. But with the emergence of so many other guys this spring, I feel pretty good about the deal, to be honest, and looking deeply at Dylan Cease's numbers. We talked about it on the show yesterday. He's about 100, at worst, he's about 165 innings a year that he's going to eat, and that was one of our bigger headaches this year, and it's been solved.
I knew you guys, would be fired up. So my instinct as, radio host is to look, okay, what are the negatives here? Obviously, Dylan Cease didn't have a great year last year, 7-9, 4.58 ERA, following up a really terrific 2022 in which he was the American League Cy Young runner-up. But ultimately, to be honest, I think this is a really good deal for the Padres. I do. I'd love to give you the other side today and go, here's why you should tap the brakes. I think this is exactly the kind of deal that the Padres needed, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday on the show. Timely conversation about a Dylan Cease trade possibility yesterday on the show.
If you're focusing on just last year, when you look at the career of Dylan Cease,
sure, you can't.
You're a pessimist.
You can't.
Like,
yeah,
you're
just
looking for negatives because that was a team that was going nowhere fast.
Bad team.
Obviously,
worst defense in baseball.
Obviously, Drew Thorpe and Jairo Iriarte could both end up being stars of the future, and Cease could have a disappointing 2 years, and you can go, wow, that was a terrible trade the Padres made. But as of this moment, I look at this deal and what it does for the San Diego Padres. And while I probably wouldn't have said yesterday that the Padres are a Dylan Cease away from being a contender, when you look at the difference in the rotation just by adding Dylan Cease, and Fangraphs is already projecting, I think they had the Padres now between like 5 and 7 in terms of their starting rotation in the big leagues. We know that they've got a pretty good bullpen that AJ put together. He focused on this offseason. That's a very good pitching staff the Padres had. Now it comes down to a lineup that, while it has some questions and a rookie out there and an unknown in left field, it has some superstar players, and if you get superstar seasons out of a couple of those guys, why wouldn't this be a playoff team at this point? I mean, is it crazy to say that Dylan Cease makes that much of a difference between going, the Padres maybe 500, a little bit, maybe a fringe playoff contender, to all of a sudden looking at the roster and going, yeah, if things break decently, this should be at least a wild card team now in the National League.
I feel like a moron to even speculate on it because last year has messed me up so bad as far as what I know about the game of baseball. I'm so hesitant, Ben, to dive in jump in both feet and be like, oh, we're in the playoffs now. You know what I mean? I can't do it. It changed me. It changed how I view the game last season. It made no sense that team didn't make the playoffs. There's no way I would have bet my firstborn on it, right?
Sorry, Bo.
So that's why, enjoy your new family. Your dad lost you in a bet. Have fun. There's no way that team should have missed the playoffs with the talent that they had. So I'm very hesitant to be like, this puts us over the top. As much as I want to, much as I'd love to get that on record, it makes us better. We're a better team today than we were yesterday, by far.
I feel the same as Ben. 24 hours ago, I did not think that the Padres are a Dylan Cease away from being serious contenders in 2024. And then the trade happens, and all of a sudden I start finding myself going there. Except I'm still greedy. I need more. Now that we know that he's alive. He's awoken from the offseason slumber since the Soto trade and a couple of relief pitchers and not a whole lot else. Now that AJ's active again, got Dylan Cease, I'm like, go get us a left field bat. And then we ride.
That's it. Drew says in the chat, this is a roster that can compete for the division title and could win the division. I think that is a bit pie in the sky. I do.
Yeah.
I think this, look, I'm not trying to, pee in your Cheerios at 6:10 this morning, but I believe that this is the Dodgers division. They're loaded and deep. And if one guy goes down, there's another guy. Like Ben just said, everything's going to have to break the right way for the Padres to make the playoffs. I think I wouldn't hurt myself by thinking that they're still in a division race. I just don't think so. He said, I can't effing stand people already conceding the division. Then you can't effing stand me because I don't think that you're even shooting for a division. I think that's a fool's errand at this point. But your team got much better. Your rotation went whoop and got nice and much longer. Takes a lot of pressure off the guys at the bottom of the rotation, the Waldrons, potentially the Avilas. But
even Michael King,
100%. He's not sitting there going, "Oh my God, I'm not going to go 7 every time out." Like
settling into the 4.
This helps the bullpen. This helps everything.
Takes a lot of that pressure off.
And for
man.
Dylan Cease, he's going to get a chance to pitch in a great pitcher's ballpark with a world-class defense behind him, at least in the infield for now. So I couldn't be happier about this. I really couldn't.
Pitching coach that has helped.
Yes,
a pitcher who was very much like Dylan Cease from the left side win a Cy Young Award last year with Ruben Niebla and Blake Snell. And that's the comp. That's the comp I've seen the most, that Dylan Cease is about the closest to a right-handed Blake Snell as you're going to find in terms of the swing and miss, the great stuff. He's going to walk some guys, but he's going to strike out a lot of guys. That's what you're getting in Dylan Cease, except he makes more starts and throws more innings, which is also why I like this deal so much, because the one area that you really could not look at the 2024 Padres and say they're going to be okay is where are they going to get enough innings out of their starting rotation after losing Snell and Waka and Lugo and Martinez. It just looked like we are really preying on some things that are unlikely to happen in terms of getting enough innings from Brito and Vasquez and Waldron. How is this ever going to happen to fill 2 spots in the starting rotation? Now, if you can get solid years out of Cease, Musgrove, Darvish, King doesn't have to go 190 innings. If King can go, 150 or so,
which is a huge jump for him.
Which is a jump, but it's not the crazy jump they were talking about. Now you're filling 1 spot at the end with a bevy of guys, with Waldron and Brito and Vasquez, and that's not asking too much. That's, hey, give us 80 to 110 solid innings, all of you combined together. That's plenty, and it just changes the dynamic. It changes the expectation for me of the San Diego Padres going into this season.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, obviously, super excited about it. Super excited about it. But, me and Drew were going back and forth. He said, "You're a fool if you start your season with a second-place mindset." F that noise. Yeah, I mean, if I'm on the team, I don't have that. I'm not on the team. I'm just a guy looking at it going, this is probably the Dodgers. Okay, Drew and everyone else, why would the Dodgers who spent $1 billion and they've won the division every year
except when the Giants won a ridiculous 107
What
games.
if they won? Like 11 out of 12 or something like that?
Sounds about right.
So again, I'm just trying to be a realist here and say you don't need to win a division to make the playoffs. You don't. You just got to get in the playoffs. And that's what this team's goal should be, is make the playoffs, see what happens. So he absolutely helps this team tremendously.
I get the mindset that you don't concede anything before a single game has been played.
Of course.
The Giants were not expected to win 107 games when they did a couple of years ago and beat out the Dodgers. In fact, I'd say this Padres team probably has more raw talent than that Giants team did. So much went right for that team.
Yeah.
You need so much to go right to win a division. You now just need things to go decently right to give the Padres a good shot at making the playoffs as a wild card. And that's a much better place than needing a bunch of unlikely things to happen to get to the playoffs. Of course. That's what this changes.
And I'm not living in Pity City here. I'm not even renting in Pity City. I'm elated. And I think that this trade made our team much, much better. And as far as the guys that we gave up, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it next. I think it could sting. I don't think it's going to sting now, but I think it could sting down the road, as almost every trade does. You're not going to be able to give them your 59th.
It's not how it works.
69th prospect to get a guy like Dylan Cease. The ask was going to hurt. It did. It's a 4-for-1 deal. One of those guys is going to hit for them and be really good. So that's the price you pay. I'm excited they made the move. I'm very excited to watch Dylan Cease pitch at Petco Park.
Yeah, Let's talk about what the Padres gave up when we come back. We're also going to have Doug Glanville on this hour. He was already scheduled, but perfect. We get an MLB analyst, former player, to break down his thoughts on the trade and the start of the upcoming season. And then we will take your phone calls and your reaction to the Dylan Cease trade. You can get in right now on our YouTube stream or on our Twitter feed at Ben and Woods, 833-288-0973 if you want to get on hold. Wait now. We'll come back, talk about what the Padres gave up. And it's a lot. I mean, it's definitely a lot for Dylan Cease. Next on Ben and Woods after a check of traffic with Kelly Danick. It's Thursday morning. Throwback Thursday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I saw Jim Bowden from The Athletic this morning reporting that the Padres offered the most for Dylan Cease. Obviously, they got him, but
Sure.
it wasn't that close, he said, which is not necessarily a good thing when you're trying to pull off a trade. Ideally, you want to offer just a little tiny bit more than the next team is offering.
But you have no idea.
You don't know, though, so you don't need to blow them away. And I'm sure the White Sox will play into that narrative a little bit, going, oh, yeah, we had to go with the Padres offer. It was definitely the best one out there. But let's talk about what the Padres gave up in exchange for Dylan Cease yesterday. And I think you have to start with Drew Thorpe, who was the, of course, Double-A pitcher the Padres picked up from the Yankees as part of the Juan Soto trade. It was the minor league pitcher of the year last year and had a really good spring training with 7 shutout innings and was looking like someone who, if not going to make the opening day roster, was going to be a fairly early call-up for the Padres at some point here in 2024. To me, that's the one that hurts the most out of who you had to give up in this trade.
I think you could make a case for Iriarte too. I mean, I know I saw a lot of people because I love Drew Thorpe. From what I'd seen in at spring, I didn't really know of him until the Juan Soto trade. I was not that adept at filtering out all the prospects in baseball. But I have loved what I've seen. I've loved what I've heard. I've loved his interviews. Seems like a guy that was kind of ready to make the next step. I think he's going to help the Chicago White Sox. But I did see a lot of people saying, look, guy throws 91 miles an hour. Now, I did see a White Sox blogger tweet last night. I think there's a little cope when you lose a guy like Dylan Cease, who's been such a big part of your rotation and your organization. He's very, very well liked in Chicago. But the guy said, dude, don't worry. We're getting Drew Thorpe. He tops out at 95. I'm like, does he top out at 95? He sits about 91, has a devastating changeup. He can be an effective pitcher. I think Iriarte is the other one where
he does throw hard.
He throws real hard.
Real hard.
There's a lot of guys. That's one of those guys where you're like, But I was texting with people in baseball last night, and they're like, man, you just don't know with young pitchers. You don't know what you're going to get with young pitchers. So I like the move. I still like the move. Zavala, he's a young prospect. He's got some pop, but I hate to treat them like commodities, which they certainly are in baseball. You can find another Zavala. AJ Preller and his staff have done a good job at finding guys like that. I'm not worried at all. They've done a great job.
He's far from a sure thing. He's got talent, but he is like many prospects out there.
I mean, who in this room can really tell us a whole lot more than he was the number 8 prospect or whatever in the Padres system?
Young kid that had some pop.
The guy that actually
turns 20 in July.
There's going to be another
19.
young kid with some pop in the top 10 of the Padres farm system this time next year.
The guy that actually might hurt the most imminently losing in this trade is actually Steven Wilson. And I was reading about how he found out they were gathering after the game yesterday, getting ready to get on the bus for Sky Harbor Airport. And, he sees his phone rings, goes over and takes the call, and they're all there. And, he lets everybody know, and it's a hug fest. It's a tear fest.
Yeah.
Everyone likes Steven Wilson tremendously. I'm sure it pained A.J. Preller to have to include him in that deal. I can understand why the White Sox wanted it, and I can understand why the Padres felt like they could afford that, because when you add Dylan Cease, you're also pushing some good arms like Johnny Brito, potentially Randy Vasquez, into your bullpen, and you don't have room for everybody in your bullpen anymore to begin with. So it did make a guy like Steven Wilson tradable, but the tears, that had to be a tough moment for everybody to say goodbye to Steven Wilson right before they were about to get on a plane for Korea.
Yeah, it's the business of baseball sometimes sucks, and we had never gotten a chance to talk to Steven Wilson until this last spring training. We had a great interview with him, one of the best, one of the most congenial guys that we met. Very, very good interview, very forthcoming, and yeah, I mean, you lose a guy. I was looking at his numbers, Benny, in the, everyone said, well, his velo's down, he struggled with command. When he threw the 7th inning last season, Ben, he had a 1.40 ERA in 29 appearances. When they pitched him in the 8th, it was about 10. So, I mean, Steven Wilson in the 7th, now you look at what the Padres still have on their roster, and you look at a guy like Jeremiah Estrada, and you go, great, okay, Estrada for Wilson, feels like we can make that comparison. That would be good. Wandy Peralta, Yuki Matsui, and then Robert Suarez in the end. I don't think our bullpen got that much weaker yesterday with this trade.
I agree. So ultimately, and based on what rankings you're looking at, the Padres did not give up one of their top 4, top 5 prospects in this deal for a frontline starting pitcher. And the emotional investment for fans. And while I am the first to tell you, once they're on your team, it doesn't matter if you're emotionally invested. They are just as valuable as the guy that you drafted and has been in your system for 4 or 5 years. And while you may feel stronger about that guy, you can't treat them differently. But in terms of emotional investment, Drew Thorpe has never pitched a major or minor league game for the Padres at all. He was just acquired a few months ago. Jairo Iriarte, didn't know who he was a year ago. Samuel Zavala, didn't really know who he was a year ago. Steven Wilson, middle reliever. So it's the emotional investment in this trade, fairly low to get a top flight starting pitcher.
Yeah, for $8 million too. I mean, that's the
and
other
it
thing.
keeps them under the luxury tax and gives them still, if you take Steven Wilson's low salary out, still gives them about $13 million to play with under that luxury tax number.
It did give me big money ball vibes. Some of the reaction I saw yesterday of the Anderson. I like Anderson. You don't even know who Anderson is. Just who Eckerton. Yeah, Eckerton. You don't know Eckerton. Just put him on the plane.
I don't even know why I'm doing this.
Let's just do this. Just get it done. I had such Moneyball vibes from a lot of our tier ones yesterday. But listen, I understand. There's going to be skepticism. There's going to be excitement, all of the above. It felt so good. It was like a hit of dopamine, though, yesterday. When I saw the pass and tweet, I go, I had needed this so badly. It had been such a grindy offseason.
It was a horrible offseason.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
The managerial stuff.
Peter
the
Seidler
owner passing away.
Sucked,
the
dude.
Soto trade. And then just nothing for like 2 months.
Dead in the water.
This fan base was patient.
Yes.
And
No, they weren't. They weren't. But it's fine.
They went through it.
They went through it.
And got a little bit of a payoff yesterday.
Yeah, you did. Good for you, AJ.
Those are some of our thoughts. We will get some thoughts from a big leaguer, MLB analyst Doug Glanville is going to join us. We'll get to that coming up next. And then your reaction, 833-288-0973. Don't go anywhere. It's Ben and Woods on a big Thursday morning on the home of the Padres, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, we've given you our reaction to the Dylan Cease trade, at least initial reaction, and we'll get your thoughts coming up here. Right now, let's go out. And on the phone is Doug Glanville, who is one of our absolute favorites. ESPN MLB analyst joins us here on 97.3 The Fan. Doug, thank you for your time this morning. We're certainly buzzing in San Diego after the news last night. AJ Preller always, I mean, we should be used to this by now.
But we're
always
not.
does something, and he still surprises us every single year.
I mean, he really does. I mean, he keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Certainly that's what makes it fun. But with Preller, he's going to do what it takes to win. And he's aggressive and very transparent about, look, I'm trying to win right now. There's no tomorrow. Let go of some really good prospects to get Cease. But, this is what he's saying. It's about today.
What's funny is last week I had suggested to Paulie, reach out to Doug. Let's get him on the show. It had been way too long. And then last night the trade goes down, and I'm like, we should get someone from Chicago on to talk about this. And Paulie goes, well, that's Doug Glanville. I mean, Doug Glanville just
played for the Cubs for many years.
The timing was just fantastic. But I did a little research on Dylan Cease. Of course, I watched him pitch plenty. Really like what I see. He seems to be a really, really solid guy that it was beloved by the White Sox fans and organization.
Yeah, I mean, and what an arm to go with it. And someone who's homegrown, is many years with the White Sox, and you see him in these moments, and there's a lot of them that he just dominated, took over a game. Just great command. You even know what's coming. You know that slider's on its way. He just has all these tilts to his pitches, and yet when he's in his zone, he's virtually unhittable. So, I think it's just such a great fit. And one thing that's come up a lot is, well, now the Padres provide him a lot better defense, and that's a big plus. Now, one thing is, we look at stats like fielding independent pitching, like how he pitches, almost like as if he didn't have a defense. And based on that number, it's almost its own ERA. It tells you that how much did he sort of take over himself and how much his defense hurt him. And overall in Chicago, all his years there, they were about break even. But last year, his defense really, really hurt him. And so now you move to the Padres, and you have a lot of gold around there. I think it's just a big jump up, and I see him fitting in really well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the drop-off last season and how concerned we should be. I saw that stat, the White Sox were at the bottom and defensive runs saved. That certainly hurt him. I also saw the BABIP numbers, for Cease went way up. And a lot of people say that there's a lot of luck involved in that. What's your kind of analysis when it comes to those numbers and just, more balls finding holes last season? But he also was giving up a little more hard contact last year than he did in 2022.
So he was, and a lot more hits. The numbers are stark because he was so dominant the year before. You talk about 172 hits and 177 innings last year. It doesn't sound horrible, except the year before, 126 hits in 184 innings. A little bit more aggressive around the zone. A lot of chase is how he lives. And really the key for him is, command. He had a lot of wild pitches last year. But sometimes as a pitcher, you're just trying to do too much. You're like, all right, my defense isn't really going to help me that much. I got to get the strikeout. I got to make the big pitch and aggressive. And then you start falling out of the zone. And then you start saying, well, I got to get back in the zone. And they were looking for it. But there's no doubt when you watch this guy pitch and when he's right, when he's getting his slot, even the hitters knowing what's coming, that ball is just dipping out of the zone. Down and away, the righties, down and away. And then, by the way, he can, hit that upper 90s when he needs it.
Talking to our pal Doug Glanville here from ESPN on Ben and Woods this morning. And, we did this, Doug, when we had a pitching coach by the name of Darren Balsley. It was always, hey, take a shot on a guy. Darren Balsley can get him right. And you know what? For the most part, he did. I mean, he fixed a lot of guys. And we got another really, really good one here in Ruben Niebla. And we tend to ride with that narrative, too. But I do believe that based on some of the things that Ruben's been able to do, this matchup, again, I mean, look what he did with Blake Snell. And somebody said the Padres just acquired the right-handed Blake Snell. Walks a lot of guys, but has that nasty swing and miss stuff. If Ruben Niebla can do with Dylan Cease what he did with Blake Snell, this trade looks even better to me than it already does.
Well, that's the thing about it. When you have a lot of confidence in your development and your ability to sort of get a system, wrap it around someone, that's part of what A.J. Preller and others evaluate. Like, how does he fit into his system? It's one thing to be like, a guy who's great in the community all that's very important. But it's also important to say, does this guy fit in our system?
Yeah.
And more in baseball today, you have systems, you have approaches and styles and strategies to parse through the data and assess, okay, this guy's, the right fit. I just remember hearing Theo Epstein talk about making trades at the trade deadline. And sometimes you see a guy and you're, in the other dugout and you're opposing him and you're like, gosh, if he just kind of got that cutter, you kind of see it as a third party view. And then you bring him in and give that data. And someone like Chiefs is going to be receptive to it, that he could really take off.
Doug Glanville is with us, and Padres are on a plane right now. They will be landing in just a couple of hours in Korea, Dodgers as well. And how this the international start to the season, the expansion of baseball across the world. I wanted to kind of just get your impressions on what you think this does for the game and how important series like this are for Major League Baseball, because obviously it's not the most convenient thing for these two organizations to cut off spring training in the middle of March and get on a plane for the other side of the world.
Yeah, you almost need a new term bigger than jet lag. Because it's,
No doubt.
You're going continent lag or something.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's extremely important because you're really bringing the game across the world, making it a true world game. And you always have players from all over the world, but now you're celebrating in their countries where a lot of these players are now coming from, and you're really exposing the game to all different influences that are ways that can shape the game as well. And I think that's a great thing. I think of Jackie Robinson breaking in 1947 in spring training. He was in Havana, Cuba, as the Dodgers were. And it was game-changing because not only did he break this color line in, sort of America, so to speak, but really the Panamanian community, the Cuban community. He became an international figure. And there's so many great players now, young and exciting, that can really open that up for the world, and that just only expands the fan base for baseball, and that's a great thing.
It's pretty cool, and again, I've been saying, based on the fact that the Padres had a weird spring, everyone had a weird spring training with COVID, then there was the lockout, then the WBC, and now the Korea series. I'm really, hopefully, next, looking for a normal spring training. They'll probably have the Padres playing on the moon next year, Doug. First moon game ever, and what better team to do
like
it?
Coors Field.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm looking forward to a nice normal spring training. Now, has been a weird offseason, and there are still guys out there that are really, really good baseball players, really good. And they are sitting at home right now, Doug Glanville, going, okay, this season is rapidly approaching. The ripple effect of Cease coming to the Padres and not the Yankees or the Rangers that needed him. The Yankees have to be in panic mode with Cole being out 1 to 2 months. We all know that could be more. What do you expect to happen in the next couple of days? Any movement at all?
I mean, the rosters are solidifying, so you have to be extra mindful about bringing someone in when you're trying to get your system and your players sort of gelling. That is a challenge, and even Cease, you're talking about towards the end before he was jumping on a plane himself. Now he has to get to Korea, and that'll be an interesting swing for him. But you look at the Yankees are a good example. They need help. They're going to need help. And at that point, you might have to make extreme measures or give up more to replace someone because, you lose the Cy Young Award winner. Now you're looking. So a guy like Blake Snell, looks at those situations and say, okay, there's a calculation to be made here. The thing about Snell that's a little concerning is just his style, right? He as you mentioned with Cease, working out of the zone, just unhittable basically, but just chase and he gives up the walks in exchange for the strikeouts. Some of the challenges of that is like him being out. If you start looking into a couple months in, like a Craig Kimbrell scenario, you worry that you might lose the season and the sharpness, and then it doesn't bode well for sort of being able to execute. So the players have to make that calculation as well. Like I can keep sitting, but I also need to stay sharp, and it's hard to catch up to major leaguers when you show up in June.
No doubt.
Doug, obviously the focus of the spring training has been on the Dodgers, and I get that. When you spend over $1 billion in the offseason to put together the team that they have, you're going to get a lot of attention. I want to ask you, though, if you were Dave Roberts, what keeps you up at night now, if anything? What are you worried about going into this season if you're Dave Roberts?
Got it.
I got to win. I got to win it all, and And look, Dave Roberts.
Did he not have to the last few seasons?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Well, he's been in that position for a long time, and he's an excellent manager, and he, is right there all the time as he should be. So sometimes when you have all this talent, the challenge is you got to keep it from imploding because everybody could easily just go their own separate ways because they're their own enterprise.
We know, yeah, we know based on last year.
Right. And so there is something to be said for not getting sort of absorbed into that culture and really trying to set the tone. And guys like Freeman and Betts, they're class acts. They set the tone in a way that guys like Yamamoto coming in or Tourney. Yes, there's every year with Dave Roberts, you say he has to win, and then the goalposts move further. So you're like, no, now he really has to win.
Yeah.
But I do think within that winning is what do you do with Ohtani, right? Exactly how you manage him because he has his routine. He hits in the cage. He does his thing. How does that fit in well? And especially if he starts pitching again, which eventually he will, is it a 6-man rotation and how that, there's a lot of little pieces to it. And then we have mega stars. Eventually, if you're around, they start aging and you start to figure out, well, is this the same player? And those guys, don't necessarily handle that super as well because they are as great as they are. So it's just a lot of personalities and managing personnel. And at some point, yes, you're going to start to look at Andrew Friedman in their leadership will eventually the crosshairs in terms of a season that didn't yield a World Series fall on Dave Roberts, even as incredible as his record has been.
No question. And I think the other thing that's really interesting to me, and this isn't bitter Padres fan, because I do feel like a lot of the moves A.J. Preller has made, Doug, they get a little bit picked apart. They get a little bit parsed out. With the Dodgers, it's like, hey, we're going to move our $300 million right fielder to second base. Oh, actually, we're going to move him to short, which he's played 14 games at the big league level. I'm like, great move. Great move. I love this move. He's 31 years old. He's going to be moving to a more demanding position. You spend $1 billion in the offseason and you don't address, what was a potential problem with Gavin Lux coming off an injury. Do you think this experiment with Mookie is going to work at short? I know he's great. I've always liked Mookie Betts, even though he's in Dodger blue. He's a really great player and a great human. Do you think this works for them long term?
Well, it may not be long term, but I think it can work short term. And the reason I say that is the key is who do you have in the mix? Well, you have Miguel Rojas. And I think the idea, if Betts struggles at all, and, then you put in Rojas in. And every time we did Dodger games, Dave Roberts was like, Ross is one of the great fielders in this game. He just loves him. So I think that, when you have a good defender, you could give Betts his day off if things struggle. Obviously, you can put Betts anywhere.
Yeah,
anywhere.
Clearly.
Right. It's like, oh, you're going to catch tomorrow. Okay, you're a little weak there. So, so that is the beauty of the versatility. I think of a guy like Chris Bryant when he was, at his best. When you have guys that are versatile, it's one thing to be like, okay, this guy's just good and you're going to put him in the lineup. It's also what he frees up for your other players to do. And that's that's the kind of X factor. Like Chris Bryant, by playing third and keeping that production there, was allowing, someone to play right field that maybe ordinarily couldn't get in the lineup unless you had a guy like Betts. So, I do think that he's in good shape, and certainly they could make moves if they need to. But you think of the Dodgers, and you have a whole all-star cast of people that are not even available that were part of that. From Trevor Bauer to the guys that have got domestic questions and all these things that went on around them. Bueller, and there's all these guys that are down, and they're at some point going to count on trade by getting healthy, that kind of move, like acquiring talent before the trade deadline, hoping Bueller and these guys get back.
Doug, really appreciate catching up with you. We'll talk to you again sometime after the season gets started, but thank you so much for your time this morning.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to be on.
There he is, Doug Glanville, MLB analyst, ESPN. Always a fun conversation, and obviously getting a lot of thoughts, his opinions on the Dylan Cease trade for the San Diego Padres. We got a couple minutes left this hour. Let's check traffic, set the stage for what's coming up here on Ben & Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick. Crash has cleared on northbound 805 at the 54 connector, so traffic looking much better in that area. Now southbound side of the 15, just past Claremont Mesa Boulevard, getting reports of what looks like a muffler in middle lanes. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Padres also had a game yesterday, last Cactus League game in Arizona, and it may have been the wildest game of their entire stay. They jumped out to an 8-0 lead over the A's. Joe Musgrove looked good.
Yeah, he did.
4 1/3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, and that was an inherited run that Luis Patino allowed to score. 5 strikeouts, and afterwards told our Sammy Levit, definitely his best start, felt sharp, felt locked in, felt ready to go for the season. So that was a definite positive.
I like the trolling from Joe Musgrove that he did, working on that sweeper early to get us all domed out and coming in the last start and looking really, really sharp. Missed a lot of bats. Looks like he's ready to go.
Had Manny Machado go 3 for 3 with 2 runs scored and 2 RBI.
Getting hot, dude.
Jurickson Profar 3 for 3 with a home run, but on his last hit, a single, he suffered what they believe is a mild sprained ankle and had to leave the game. Definitely a worrisome moment, but they have taken him to Korea. He's on the plane. Might not be the best thing for a sprained ankle.
That's what I was thinking.
To be in a plane for 14 hours, he's probably going to get off the plane, and it's going to feel a little bit worse, but he does have a week there, to kind of get it and hopefully back down and swelling down so he's available. But they've taken him with the team, and they said afterwards he walked back to the camp, from the stadium, which is, it's not long, but it's a couple hundred yards.
Yeah.
And did seem to be okay.
Yeah.
He said the high tops may have saved him a little bit on that twisted ankle. Then his replacement, Tyler Wade, who's battling for one of the last spots on the roster, hit a grand slam. Now, I don't know. We don't know who's on the plane. They never told us.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tyler Wade's on the plane or not for the San Diego Padres. There are a couple of mysterious. We know Jeremiah Estrada's on the plane.
Yes.
And I believe we know Graham Pauley is on the plane.
Yes.
But like Tyler Wade,
No idea.
got no idea.
You know what? I'm mad at Sam Levit. Sam Levit should have been at the Phoenix airport
Counting.
with binoculars.
Yeah.
Just keeping a notepad right next to him. Like,
I
all right,
believe that's Oscar
that-
Mercado. I believe.
Tyler Wade?
I mean, Dave Marcus should be texting us right now from the
100%.
plane,
Jesse Agler, where are you at?
letting us know who is on this plane.
We got
because
enough sources
We
that
don't.
I'm actually.
We don't know. We have not been given a list by the
That's on
San
us.
Diego
That's on
Padres.
us,
and,
actually, yeah.
and granted, there was some chaos because Stephen Wilson was going to be on the plane, and now. All right, now he's not going to be on the plane. You got to save a spot for Dylan Cease if he's going to arrive there at some point. It changes the dynamic a little bit. But you also, Jackson Merrill went 1 for 2, finished the spring with a 3.51 average. Yuki Matsui came back with a scoreless inning, a couple of strikeouts, 1 single.
Nasty.
But looks really good and looks like he'll be ready.
Crony had a nice day.
The negatives, Luis Patino and Adrian Morejon were both
Terrible.
struggling and hit hard. I'll tell you why that's a positive, maybe. Neither of them have options left. And that last impression might scare some teams off from even claiming them, which would be good for the Padres to be able to send them back down to the minor leagues and, hopefully get them going. And at some point, they could be an option later in the year.
I feel like we've been saying this about Adrian Morejon for
But I can't
16
see
years
either.
now.
I don't imagine either of them are on the plane. So they're going to be optioned down, which means they will be available to be stolen by other teams.
Right.
All right, that's the update from
Johnny in the
yesterday.
chat. Did Tatis make it on the plane?
He
We don't
did.
know.
We did.
So
We
you
saw
did.
it.
No, we did.
We saw a
it.
picture.
We saw it
We
with
saw a
Manny.
picture. Real or fake coming up. More talk next on the Fan. Hour number 2 of Ben and Woods. It's a 5 today. Don't forget, we've got our very first 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza, coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. Annie and Elston will be here. Sammy's going to join us from Arizona. I don't think we've got Ello or Tony today, though. Obviously, Tony is on a plane right now to Korea, and I hope the flight...
They don't have Wi-Fi on the plane?
I hope the flight is going
Hook
well.
up a webcam and let's go.
That would be amazing. That would be one of the most amazing things ever. If I was Tony, I'd try to make that happen.
It would sound like absolute
It would be
ass.
terrible.
It would be the worst thing, and I would be raging the whole time. So.
I mean, I saw it, just the worst thought, but I saw early in our chat today.
No, don't, come on.
Well, they're almost there. Don't even say it.
No,
Okay.
obviously.
I just said,
Holy crap,
visions
dude.
of the, the television show Lost.
What?
You imagine them all on some island somewhere in the Pacific. It's fine. They're going to be fine. It's good. I mean, everyone has those thoughts when they get on a flight, right? You don't have those thoughts? You don't worry about it sometimes? I'm not.
I might think about it. I don't say it live on my radio program.
I'm sure everything's going to be
Somebody did bring it up
fine.
in the chat today, and I purposefully ignored it. Purposefully.
They're fine. They're on the plane. It's going well. Looked like a comfortable plane. We saw some pictures from the inside of the plane. What was it? Mostly business class seats. So a comfortable flight to Korea. As comfortable as I guess it can be if you're crossing the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And they will get there.
Fire Fanatic said, "What's wrong with Ben? I wish I knew. He has no filter."
Good Lord.
God.
I mean, I would watch the Padres, like Survivor Padres edition.
It's funny. It's funny because I texted you guys an article yesterday about internal monologues.
Oh my God.
And I there was this story, and I texted you, and it said, somebody tweeted, "I still think about every day that there are," I don't know how accurate these numbers are, 30 to 50% of the population don't have an internal monologue. And I said, well, that's impossible. And this, I went down a little mini rabbit hole, and a guy found somebody without one. And he said, so when you're looking in the mirror, you can't say in your head, okay, hair looks good, eyebrows look good, no boogers in my nose, whatever. And she goes, no, I can't. And he goes, well, what happens when you do? She goes, I say it out loud. It's not internal. And you said, well, I have one. And now I'm wondering if you don't.
And I'm just saying it all out loud. Maybe that's part of it. The radio is basically taking your internal monologue
and vomiting it on the air.
Just for 4 hours. Yeah. You just repeat it and spew it all out there.
It is interesting, though, that there are people out there. Like, what do they do ever? Like, my brain never stops talking to me, ever. It never, ever stops. I couldn't turn it off if I tried.
What would I do on my drive to work without an internal monologue?
No kidding. So, holy cow.
Who would win Survivor Padres, though?
God dang it.
I
don't like this at all.
Well, it's and Craig Elston's the Survivor expert. He's watched every episode of all 43 seasons. I think, obviously, it's a coalition building game. I mean, there's some athleticism, but they're all athletic, so they're going to do well in the challenges. So I think it's going to come down to the guy who can build the best coalition. I think Jurickson Profar is clearly your Survivor Padres winner.
I think that's a decent pick. You want to go, you'd lean towards one, maybe one of the more established
friendly
guys.
But ruthless.
Ruthless.
I think he's got that combination necessary to win in that sort of game.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this anymore. It really makes me nervous.
I'd rather have, imagine them on The Bachelor.
Yes. Ooh. Yeah. Well, Tatis wins The Bachelor. We all know that. I mean, let's be honest here.
I don't know. I think Dylan Cease would be a pretty good contestant. See, he seems like a well put together guy. You said
The Bachelorette is the one where all the guys fight for the one girl.
Right.
So you get the whole Padres roster fighting for one girl.
Yeah.
Drew Thorpe versus.
Well, he's not here anymore.
That's true. Dylan Cease.
What? Now, you did some research on Dylan Cease yesterday. You tweeted that you thought he was a low-key hippie and is going to fit in well here. What made you? What made you think that Dylan Cease is a low-key hippie.
I went to his Instagram and he was talking about the yoga and stuff that he does. Now listen, anybody that does yoga, I call them a hippie.
It's 2024. That's just not the case anymore.
No, I know.
If it's 1978 and someone's doing yoga, hippie, obviously.
For me, anybody, I can't stretch, and you can't either.
No.
Like, we don't do yoga. We probably should. I tried it. It's not for me. I'm not good at it, and it hurts a lot.
I don't do yoga enough. I like yoga, though.
I liked it, but it also was like, this is a waste of my time.
relaxing.
It really is tough.
I do the absolute bare minimum.
Sure, yeah. So
I'm not doing handstand.
So I call
handstands.
anybody that does yoga, I'm like, oh, he's a hippie. So he just has this. He's got this way about him when you watch his. When you watch his Instagram stories, that he wrote a poem. You guys apparently read it on
We
the air
did
last week, which I did not know.
coincidentally enough. Yes. Oh, slider.
Oh, slider, my slider. Oh,
Slide.
slide. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
So he's just kind of a cerebral type guy that's really in tune with his body, and he does retreats and things like that. So I like him a lot. I think he's seemingly a really, really good cat, and I'm really interested to get to know him a little more, and obviously love his stuff. And people are extolling the virtues of yoga in the chat. I'm very aware that I should be doing it and that it's awesome. I'm just not I can't touch my toes. I wish I could. I'm also not willing to put in the pain and the work to get there.
You wake up early enough. I think
I should do it every day.
You should do an elementary
I should.
15-minute yoga session in the morning.
Yeah,
I think it would do wonders for you.
I should do it. But I don't.
I do one stretch at the end of my Peloton every day. I stretch out for about 60 seconds.
60
and
seconds.
that's pretty much the extent of my stretching program.
Yeah, I'm just, it's impossible for me. So anyway, I'm a big
Sets and
fan.
Cease gives off Encinitas bro vibes.
Big time. I'm surrounded by them. Most of the dads at my school look like Dylan Cease. My kids' school, everything, all the dads at Little League look like Dylan Cease. So it feels very comfortable for me.
We got Real or Fake coming up here in just a minute. 833-288-0973. Any guess onto how Dylan Cease will be used in the first two games of the season, or if he will be used at all? I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be. He's been gearing up to start the season with the Chicago White Sox. Had a really good spring start in his last game 2 days ago. And if they get him to Korea in the next 24 to 48 hours, which I'm imagining they will do, he should be available. Now, I doubt he bumps Joe Musgrove or Yu Darvish. They've already announced those as a starter, but with you can have him come out of the bullpen just like Michael King can come out of the bullpen.
Sure.
I think he pitched the same day as Yu Darvish earlier this week. So is it possible that Yu Darvish is backed up by Dylan Cease while Joe Musgrove, who has pitched the same day as Michael King, who threw on the backfields yesterday, is going to be backed up by Michael King as kind of a 1-2 combination in the first two games of the season?
Yeah, it's going to be. There's a lot to be excited about, obviously, with baseball starting, but one of the most interesting things to see is what strategy they're going to deploy here, Mike Shilton and his crew. And obviously every game is dependent. This isn't a spring training game where you're like, I'm going to get Musgrove 3, I'm going to get Cease 3, and they're going to get to work it. No, these games count. Like, you want to win at least one of these games, certainly, against the Dodgers. So you do what you have to do, knowing you've got a long flight back, but you have some rest built in. There's no need to plan ahead for those exhibition games. Like, just try to win these two games, and if you need Michael King to throw 3 innings or Dylan Cease, you use them. You absolutely use them. They're going to look like a spring training game, but they absolutely count in the standings.
But I think you take matchups into consideration as well based on who's coming up for the Dodgers. It might be better to go to your 1-inning guy in the 6th.
Yeah.
And then maybe Dylan Cease could come in, for the 7th and the 8th, depending on, kind of who's coming out.
It's going to be fun, man.
It's an interesting cerebral exercise for Mike Shilton in his first 2 games of the year, because they really aren't like any of the other games. They're much more like playoff games than they are regular season games because of the days off coming up after.
Playoff games plus spring training. It's it's the weirder combo, one of the weirder combos that you'll see. But I think you do what you have to do. Now, again, you can have all the plans that in the world that you want. And the same goes for Dave Roberts and the Dodgers. If the Padres go out and score 6 runs off Glass now, things change for Dave Roberts. Just like if they score 6 runs off of Yu Darvish, things change. The plan definitely changes. What's the greatest quote in sports? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
There should be no chance of running out of pitchers, though.
Correct.
For these 2 games.
Yeah, no chance.
You've got everybody on deck. You've got a full squad. Hopefully everybody's healthy. And you have no games to worry about for a week after that.
Exactly. So
yeah.
empty the tank, man. Do whatever you have to do to win these games.
All right, we got some callers on the line. Let's get to today's Throwback Thursday edition of Real or Fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods. You can go plow through another donut. It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
What Jason could win is a 2-night stay at the Fontainebleau Las Vegas and dinner for 2. Immerse yourself in timeless elegance at Fontainebleau Las Vegas, a luxury resort, gaming, and meeting destination. Book now at FontainebleauLasVegas.com. Jason, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, guys.
All right, Real or Fake, all you need is 4 out of 7 correct, and we'll put you into the grand prize drawing at the end of the month. You've got my friend Woods here, who is available to help you. He doesn't know the answers, though, so it may be a guess, it may be not. But good luck today. Congratulations to Oppenheimer on winning Best Picture at Sunday's Academy Awards. Now, it's time to test you on other Best Picture winners. Today on Real or Fake, I will name a movie. You tell me if it was a real Best Picture Oscar winner or a fake which did not take the Academy Award. Jason, you ready to go?
I'm ready, guys.
All right, round 1, Real or Fake. Saving Private Ryan. Real or fake Oscar winner for Best Picture?
Woods, what are you thinking on this one?
Feels so obvious, doesn't it? It feels so obvious that Saving Private Ryan won one. I know Ben, though. I'm going to say fake.
Jason, what's your answer?
You know, I'm going to agree with Woods on this one. I'm going to go fake.
Really? Woods knows me very well. You know what it lost to? Shakespeare in Love.
I mean, not a
History,
bad movie.
not a bad one, but I
movie
don't
at
know
all.
that history treats that decision well. That's 1 point. You are on your way, Jason. Let's go to round number 2. There Will Be Blood. Real or fake? Best Picture Oscar winner. There Will Be Blood.
Woods, what do you think on this one?
I think it's real.
He thinks it's real. Jason, he was right last time.
You know, I had that feeling too, so I'm going to go with Woods. Real.
Real is incorrect.
Son of a...
There Will Be Blood lost to No Country for Old Men. All right, one
Two
right.
brilliant movies.
One wrong. Let's go to round number 3. Brokeback Mountain. Real or fake, Jason? Brokeback Mountain.
Woods, what do you think?
This is not Woods' game. This is your game, Jason.
You said he
I
could
know,
ask.
he can ask as much as he wants.
I'm going to say real.
He's going to say real. Jason?
Let's go with real.
All right. You are both wrong again.
Son of a...
Crash won that year. All right, we are now 1 out of 3. Let's get going here.
overrated,
Round
I thought.
number 4.
Really?
Yeah,
Loved
I
Crash.
thought it was overrated.
Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
Real or fake?
I know this one.
Jason?
Jason.
Yeah, I know that one too. That's real.
Yes, it is.
It is. And you know what movie it beat out?
Goodfellas.
Wow.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
All right, that's
they
2
do
right.
not like Marty. They really
No.
don't like
And
Marty.
he knows
man.
it, too.
He knows
He
it.
knows it, too. He won the one,
He got
but
his
that's
one.
it.
They're like, that's enough for you.
All right, we're 2 and 2. We're going to round number 5. Here we go. Round number 5, real or fake? Fargo. Real or fake? Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, I think that's real.
I love Fargo. It is fake. Lost to The English Patient.
Now, Frances McDormand won.
Yes.
She won Best
but
Act.
not Best Picture. All right, now
What did
the
it lose
pressure.
to?
The English Patient.
Oh, give me
Rafe
a break.
Fiennes.
Give me a break. I give a rat's ass about the English patient.
All right, we're down to the last 2. Green Book. Real or fake, Jason? Green Book.
Loved it.
Woods, what do you think on this one?
I think it's real, man.
He thinks
I love
it's real.
That movie. I think it's real.
Doesn't matter if you love it.
I know, but I think it
I'm gonna go with
won.
Woods on this one. Real.
Real is Correct.
Yeah.
2019. I don't even remember Green Book.
Mahershala Ali.
Okay.
Brilliant movie.
Okay.
Brilliant movie.
All right, here we go. Round 7. As
Here we
it seems
go.
to always
Always
come down to
happens.
round 7. For the win, real or fake, Best Picture Oscar winner.
Freddie got fingered.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Son of a bitch.
Real or fake?
Woods, what do you think?
I don't
It sounds
know.
fake to me, but what do you think?
I don't know. I'm gonna say. Oh God. Oh no. I'm gonna say.
God, that was a big
I can't
movie.
react because I want to be fake to all the other contestants for the month. So,
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm panicking.
Jason, I need an
It's
answer.
50-50.
I need an answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I'm going with real on this one.
All right. He goes with real, and it is. Fake! Lost to
what one?
Gladiator that year.
damn.
Really good movie. Jason, thank you for playing, but not today, as real or fake is the
That
champion.
was a good category.
Paulie's actually suggestion. Very nice suggestion.
Like I
Paulie.
knew there would be big name movies where you're like, of course that won Best Picture.
Yeah. There's a lot of them out there. Saving Private Ryan didn't win? Come on.
I know.
Man,
Oh, Fargo? You're kidding me. That didn't win?
There Will Be Blood against No Country for Old Men.
Which
What
one?
a matchup.
was it like? I think it was 1994. I think Forrest Gump won Best Picture, but that year it was like Jurassic Park,
1994.
Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump. Like
Did Forrest Gump win Best
It did.
Picture?
I think it did.
And Pulp Fiction didn't win, which is a crime as well, I think. So, all right. Well, thank you for playing, Jason. We can always try again. We'll go back to a Take on Woods tomorrow. Don't Do This is coming
no,
up
it was
next.
95. It was Shawshank Redemption,
Oh,
Forrest
Shawshank.
Gump, Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, Four Weddings and a Funeral. Those were the nominees.
Oh, those are all. That's like the best year
Yeah.
for Oscar Best
Really,
Pictures.
really good.
Those are all great.
Don't do
Movies.
this. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, dude. Just there's a lot I can say. All right, well, everyone's entitled.
Just a heartbeat away from the presidency, as they say.
There's a lot. You're entitled to your own opinion, but when it comes to this one topic in particular, you're done.
This is like
You're
etched
done.
in stone on the Mount Rushmore.
This is-
Don't
yeah.
do this. Like we have the don't ever refer to Hitler in any sense.
That's one.
That's the rule.
This one's
on
another one.
DDT. This
And
is
I've
another
got the
rule.
Eagles, who, even though tampering is now legal, may have still illegally tampered during free agency in their recruitment of Saquon Barkley. I'll get to that potential mistake coming up next with Ben Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Let's get right to it. A couple of stories that make you shake your head. And I thought this was supposed to be solved in the NFL. Free agency began officially yesterday at 1 p.m., but pretty much everybody had signed by then because of the legal tampering period that exists in the league. Yet somehow the Philadelphia Eagles may have run afoul of NFL tampering rules. So apparently, and I did not know this, apparently in the legal tampering period before free agency begins, Woods, teams are not allowed to talk directly to players. They have to talk to the agent. The agent has to do all the business before that, unless the player represents himself. And this is not the case with Saquon Barkley. So, who knows what teams get around that a little bit, but it came out that James Franklin, who was the former Penn State coach of Saquon Barkley, was giving an interview. And he said, quote, in the interview, that Howie Roseman, when he called Barkley and talked about being on the Philadelphia Eagles, said this and that. And people go that and go, well, Howie Roseman's not supposed to be calling Saquon Barkley directly. If he did that, that's a violation of the tampering rules in the NFL. Now, the Eagles are denying it, and maybe James Franklin just misspoke somehow, and, Howie Roseman called the agent, and the agent called Saquon Barkley, but it was a bad look because he's not supposed to actually call the player directly during the legal tampering.
What's the penalty? A small
so
fine?
far, nothing yet. I don't know. The NFL takes these things seriously. You could lose draft picks. They take it very seriously. They can even cancel the signing, I believe, of Saquon Barkley if they feel like the tampering is serious enough. I don't know if this rises to that and if it's even going to be proven. I'm sure Franklin is going to be backpedaling. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean what I said. It was the agent that was talking to him. But, it just became a bit of a story yesterday and maybe a misstep by the Philadelphia Eagles.
Interesting story coming out. It came out over the weekend, and I just kind of rolled my eyes at it and thought, well, I don't know how much weight this holds, but, always good for a headline. Aaron Rodgers back in the news as Robert Kennedy Jr. has put him on a short list, Benny, of a guy that he would want to be his running mate for vice president, which, hey, listen, that's fine. People want to run for office. I did find it a little interesting based on Aaron Rodgers' quotes just last year. Quote, anything in the building we're doing that has nothing to do with winning needs to be assessed. Everything that we do has to have a purpose. The S that has nothing to do with winning needs to get out of the building. I don't know if I could think of a bigger distraction than running for political office in the middle of a season.
But remember that Aaron Rodgers' guiding philosophy is actually, I'd like to be the center of attention at all times.
Which is weird because he did that. Remember he did that ayahuasca trip? And he said it takes away
the darkness retreat.
That
too.
And he did the ayahuasca, and he said, "Man, it takes away your ego. You have no ego left." And I'm looking at it, going, "I feel like
that's why he goes on the Pat McAfee show.
I feel like
every
you've
week, 'cause
doubled.
He's got no ego left and doesn't want any attention.
I feel like it's doubled his ego. That's beside the point, though. So when you run for political office, things come out about you that you probably didn't want to see the light of day. It happened to Steve Garvey recently. And it's happening to Aaron Rodgers now with a couple of sources coming to the table saying, oh, no, he is a rabid Sandy Hook truther and believes that the Sandy Hook, the tragedy, 20 kids, 6 adults killed by a gunman at Sandy Hook Elementary School back in, when was that? 2012. Said it's not real. And he is spreading the conspiracy that it was staged. The families and first responders were all crisis actors. That day was literally one of the worst days of my life, watching that unfold on television. And not one time did I think to myself, "Oh, what a great film
Something's
this
fishy
is!
Here.
Something's fishy.
These
here.
are actors.
It's
a joke.
That to me is like
That infuriates.
It's infuriating.
I've talked about conspiracy theories before, and
they're fun until they're not.
How ridiculous it is when you just pull on the smallest of threads and try to figure out how could they pull this off, and you realize they couldn't. There's no way you could pull off something of that massive of scale and keep it quiet,
Under
keep
wraps.
it silent, and not leave just tons of absolutely concrete evidence that you're faking something.
And especially, listen, especially something of that magnitude. That to me was like, all right, bud. I got a DM from, because I was a little bit of a defender of Aaron Rodgers the last few years of like, he's just a little kooky. He's out there. He has his own thoughts, which is fine. People like that. This one to me, I'm like, that's it. You can't.
You're done.
You're done.
I did see someone tweet that if Robert Kennedy Jr. and Aaron Rodgers are on a ticket together, they'd be the first ever president-VP combination that didn't get a single vote from either of their own families.
Pretty hardcore tweet.
Kennedy's family does not like him, and Aaron Rodgers' family, we know, does not like him.
Pretty hardcore.
Either. All right, do this here on a Thursday.
DD mega
Did you know
doo-doo.
the Padres traded for Dylan Cease?
Oh, that's your do
Yes.
this?
Yes. I was looking for something else, and you know what? I don't have anything better than the Padres pulling off another massive A.J. Preller special on the eve of another regular season. And we talked about this the entire month. Isn't there something coming? It's A.J. Preller, for God's sakes.
I had given up hope.
There's
I
no
really
way
had.
he can be so quiet for such a long period of time.
And then to hear that he had been working on this like since the week of the season ending, like he had been at least having open communication with the White Sox about this.
So
like,
some of the quotes
SOB.
just that he had been having an open dialogue with the White Sox all off season, and it finally came together. And he said, really, you can pick up a pitcher like this heading into his prime. And at 28 years old, this really is the window. The 27 to 30, 31 age is generally when pitchers are going to be, if they're healthy. And Dylan Cease came into camp saying, healthy as I've ever been, healthy as a horse coming into camp, that this is the prime spot for pitchers. They're old enough to have the veteran experience and wisdom that helps them get major league batters out, but they're still young enough with the stuff and the durability that they can compete with the younger guys, and they're not too old for it. This is the time where you want to get a guy like Dylan Cease at this stage of his career.
That's a massive do this.
I
for
think
the San
so.
Diego
And
Padres.
that's don't and do this for a Thursday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
I really do want to get Tier 1 takes on this trade. 833-288-0973. If you want to call in, we are going to have to reveal, though, 4 more winners in our Tournament of Drops.
There's a don't do this in there for
From the
audience.
from the anatomy region, and then we will complete our first round today, the wild card region of our Tournament of Drops brackets. We'll give you the 4 matchups, set up the voting for another 24 hours, and then when we show up tomorrow, we will be down to the Sweet 16 of the Tournament of Drops. So that's all coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Padres acquired Dylan Cease. That's our headline today. Probably for the next few days, actually, is going to be the main takeaway here. Now the question is, are they done, or is there still another move to be made with some flexibility, still under the luxury tax level, reportedly around $13 million of flexibility left for the Padres?
Okay.
Do you want to spend it now and address the roster, or do you want to give yourself a cushion where you get to the trade deadline, and if you need to add some salary because you're playing well and you have more of a kind of a knowledge of what you need at that point where you've had injuries, that you want to be able to take on some salary later in the season? Or can you do both? Can you sign someone and leave enough flexibility to do both?
It's a good question, and I think it's dependent on you'd hate to plan for something, Ben, that may or may not happen, when if you made a move now, that can bolster you to get the record that you need to then have to make that decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's saving money is as a fan, you're like, I don't use every nickel that you have to win baseball games. And I don't know what Adam Duvall costs, but he's a true designated hitter type that could slot right in when Manny goes back to third base. And I think he makes your team better. I think J.D. Martinez is a true designated hitter. Now, it's dependent on Manny Machado as far as the DH goes, but you could upgrade your outfield with a Tommy Pham right now, and I don't know what Tommy's asking for. I do get the sense he's probably not going to take a nickel less than what he wants. But your alternative is not playing baseball. So I think, feet to the fire, he's going to have to make a decision on what he wants to do this year. I have no doubt that he's been putting in the work behind the scenes. How many live ABs has he gotten, though, in game-type situations? I think you could improve your team and still have money left over.
Let me, again, bring the point up, though, that, moves now and being patient can pay off. Because let's say the Padres had signed Jung-Ho Lee. And that would have addressed a huge need for the Padres this offseason. But he ended up going for, like $18 million a year.
Right.
If they had signed Jung-Ho Lee, and for better or worse, it looks like they're trying to reset that luxury tax, they wouldn't have been able to even take on the $8 million now of Dylan Cease.
Correct.
And by not making that move, they gave themselves the flexibility to do another potentially better move later on. That's kind of the give and take and the game that A.J. Preller is playing right now. Do you want to spend that money now? Do you want to keep some of it in reserve? Can a guy be a difference maker? I don't know. Maybe Lee will be a difference maker for the Giants, but my thinking is Cease might be a bigger difference maker for the Padres now at this point at a lower price point.
Yeah, and I think the needs for me, I think were I was starting to get a little bit more panicked about covering those innings than I was about offense because, again, we're hoping that Manny rounds back into form. We're hoping that Xander, starts hot. We're hoping that Jake Cronenworth, and I get it. There's a lot of hope there, and it's not the best strategy, but there are track records there as well. So the innings were starting to really dome me out when I thought of Brito and Waldron covering those at the back end of the rotation, and now with Dylan Cease, you feel like, okay, that's been addressed. So I'm definitely in the camp of let's add one bat, and then we ride. And after that, I think we're good.
Let's get a call or two in before our tournament of drops. People have been waiting on the line. I see our friend Chief calling in. Chief, good morning.
Been a while, buddy.
How you doing?
Hey, good morning, fellas. Well, I just wanted to throw out there that the Dylan Cease trade, great, and I put in the chat earlier, in AJ we trust. Still trying to hold on to that for him there. But looking ahead, I would appreciate if maybe a move would have been done earlier. We would have, a little more excited, I guess, rather than coming up to our first game. And I don't know, tough to wonder how much work he can get in with some of our catchers before he actually goes into a game situation.
With Cease, you mean?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. For him, he's such a pro, and Niebla is such a pro. Ben Fritz is such a pro. I have no doubt they're going to get him ready to go. He's been putting in the work. I get it, in a different camp with a different pitching coach, different catchers. I understand all that. I think that's the one that doesn't concern me as much as potentially Chief going out and signing a bat that hasn't had a live AB yet, and then getting them up to speed, whether it's Duvall, Brandon Belt, JD Martinez, or Tommy Pham. No live ABs, like unless they're at a high school, getting rips off kids.
Yeah, signing a Snell right now is very problematic.
Yeah.
Very problematic. I saw a piece in ESPN, like, do not draft in fantasy, like Blake Snell, because you're almost guaranteed to not have him for a few weeks and then probably struggle for a few weeks, and then maybe he'll lock in later. But
I mean, that's Blake Snell, even if he had signed the first day of camp.
But Cease has been working completely throughout spring training.
They get on the same page all the time.
I get Chief's point about the catcher and working with the catchers, but it feels like both Campusano and Higashioka have worked well with the new guys camp really quickly. I mean, that was like a week they were saying, we're feeling good about it. So I'm not too concerned. Let's get one more in here, Dean, and then we'll get to the tournament of drops. Dean, good morning. Calling across the country from North Carolina.
Good morning, boys. Long time no talk.
Hey, Pally, how you doing?
Hanging in there, man. I've been really head down at work lately. Haven't had a lot of time to listen to you guys, unfortunately, but on the road today, so good timing to be able to listen today and call in with the big news from the trade. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. I gotta say, Woods, when you mentioned that little that rush you got last night when you saw that trade go through, when Passan announced it, I felt the same thing because, man, this whole off season and spring training, I have felt very little enthusiasm going into this season, which is so different from how we went into the last 3 years.
Sure.
It almost kind of felt like they were punting on this season to some extent. Thought they were still going to be competitive, but it didn't have that feeling of like they were really going to go for it and be in the mix.
Yep.
And when seeing the news that they get Cease, and now I'm feeling ready to go and excited about it. So I think that was great timing that they pulled this off, and feeling a lot better about going into the year.
What's funny, man, is like think about
with all of that.
If you felt that way, and I felt that way, and Ben felt that way, and Paul felt that way. Think about how Manny feels, and think about how Tatis feels, and think about how Xander feels, and Joe, and you, and Michael King, and all those guys were like, he's not a scrub. This is not some scrub we picked up off the trash heap. They got to feel a sense of, so you guys are, so we are still in this thing. You are still AJ Preller. We are still the San Diego Padres that are throwing our chips in the middle. Look, it hasn't always worked. In fact, it's rarely worked. So I'll give you that part to the naysayers out there. I'll let a naysayer know right now that they're still in it. They're still in it, and they're still trying.
They've been saying all the right things in spring training for sure about,
I haven't heard much from AJ Preller. Like, we haven't talked to AJ Preller.
But players have been saying the right thing. We're pulling on the rope. We're here for each other.
The skipper's done a great job with that.
The trade of Juan Soto had to be a punch to the gut, and you could tell with Manny, like, hey, we got a new reality here, and let's get to it. This changes things a little bit, though. I guarantee you that plane flight is going to have a little extra excitement.
Jubilation.
Yeah,
yes.
There's just a little extra gas now for the San Diego Padres going in to the 2024 season.
These guys are packing their bags, getting ready, like boarding the bus.
They're like in the lobby.
AJ's on the phone. We're like, all right, Zavala, okay, fine.
Fine, it's done.
Send the paperwork. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Just hangs up that phone, and then, AJ, I don't think has ever kicked back once in his life. I think it was already working. I'm sure he stayed up all night on that plane working on something else. That's just how he's wired. But that had to have been a little extra fun trip.
It's crazy. And he did say, he'd been working on this for the whole spring training. And when Dylan Cease is out there, and you got to keep calling, and you got to keep texting, and you got to keep trying to figure out if you can get a deal done. And the fact that it came down when it came down was just insanely peak AJ Preller. I couldn't believe it. I could not. The rumors were, Paulie, Paulie came in yesterday behind the scenes, was like, we got like one mention in that Rosenthal art. Like, he's going to be a Ranger. He's going to be a Yankee. The Yankees are desperate. And I'm like, yeah, I'm interested in it because it's Dylan Cease, and let's talk about it for sure. And sure enough, man, 4:15 yesterday, that SOB gets it done. And Dylan Cease is a Padre, and it's a great fit. And, of course, the return made you raise your eyebrows, but we don't know what that return is going to look like in 2 years because that's what you have Dylan Cease under control for. And we ride, man. It's a top of the rotation guy, and it's a good move, and I'm really excited about it.
All right, we'll get back to the phone calls shortly. Right now, though, a quick check of traffic and then results and more matchups in our 5th annual Tournament of Drops.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. A little relief for you on that southbound side of the 15 before Miramar Road, that accident involving a motorcycle. Everything is now clear over to the right shoulder. Traveling on northbound 15 before Miramar Road, crash over the right shoulder, couple cars involved. Coastline ride, southbound 5, just past Tamarack. Accident blocking the fast lane. Not the HOV lane, but the fast lane, so just watch out for a little confusion there. Also going to find stalled vehicle on the Bancroft off-ramp, westbound King Freeway, and a collision on westbound 8 on the East Main Street off-ramp. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-thru oil change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline is also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com, SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, it's our top 32 drops of the year. Those short, funny sound clips that Paulie is always playing with his buttons over there. We bracket them up, and we let you vote on the drop of the year. It's our 5th annual Tournament of Drops, and yesterday we had our 4 first-round matchups in the anatomy region, the upper right portion of our bracket, and we'll start with the results at the top. The number 1 seed in the anatomy region, Little Taylor Woods and D's Nuts going up against yours truly. And just the tip of something. I don't even know what it was. And the winner with 66.5% of the vote was the first seed, the number 1 seed, advancing into the Sweet 16. Right below that, the 4-5 matchup, a couple of Ben drops. We have a lot of anatomy Ben drops on this show.
Yeah, some of my favorites.
This was a very close one. It's, oh my God, I'm so stiff against balls bouncing off my chest. And with 50.7% of the vote, by far the closest result of the first round so far, the winner was, oh my God, I'm so stiff.
I mean, those are both winners, dude. Both of those, I would have been happy with either one in. But that one is legendary.
All right, some controversy in our 3-6 matchup. Paul Rindle is upset. You had the 3 seed Jesse Agler talking about Brett Sullivan and a booty.
Ooh, a booty. I'm going to have a booty.
Going up against the 6 seed.
Whatever
whatever that is.
M.R.
M.R., one of Paulie's absolute favorites.
Mine
but
too.
with
I'm obsessed with it.
57.2% of the vote, the winner was...
Ooh, a booty. I'm going to have a booty.
Jesse Agler. Big Bumbleclot is out in the first round, and neither of you two.
I should make an executive decision and just push it through.
Do that.
I can't. I'm the president.
That's not how it works.
It's absolutely how it works.
Congress can override you. All right, and then finally, our 7-2 matchup, 2, Hotel Talk in Milwaukee, the Pfister Hotel. Yeah, absolutely. Against another Ben drop, beautiful, gorgeous cans. The winner in another close one. 51.3% of the vote. The winner was
tough, but I support it.
Pfister? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's a no-brainer.
So those are your 4 winners for yesterday, and that brings us to the final quadrant of our first round, the wild card region of the bracket. And let's get to the matchups for the wild card region. First, the number 1 seed in the wild card region.
Ding-ling-ling-ling-ling-ling.
That's me. And going up against the number 8 seed in that region.
Hi, Paul.
Who was that again?
Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl on stage introducing Paul McCartney.
But part of our now Rindle Report Open, as many of the drops fall in there. All right, that's your 1 versus 8. The 4 seed in the wild card region.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
She's like a local
CEO.
mayor. Or,
No,
CEO.
CEO.
That's right. About to announce
Zoom.
layoffs.
Yeah,
Like
layoffs.
massive layoffs.
She got a huge bonus, and she was telling her employees, I got a bonus. You guys can all suck it.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
Live there. Yeah.
And then
We played that after every Padres loss.
that's going up against the number 5 seed, the drop we used to talk about the Padres director of medical player performance, Don Tricker.
Tricker.
Helping make sure the Padres don't have any jet lag on the plane on the way over to Korea. So
tart cherry juice,
that's
and
the
magnesium.
4-5. The 3 seed in the wild card region.
It's a complete
Crap.
Darko, the coach of
love
the
that.
Raptors. I do enjoy that one. Going up against the
Scotty
6th seed.
Barnes, he is all-star.
This is a tough one. This is the 6th seed.
Hey, where's the freaking gabagoo?
Love that
Damn.
guy.
I like that guy
Love that
on,
guy.
on social
That's
media
gonna
there.
be close.
That's the 3-6. And then finally, our 2 seed, our beloved Welsh Friar, giving us the name of a nearby town in Wales.
Llanffair, Pysgwyn, Gisgo, Gerrit, Queen Drobot, Llantysilio, go, go, go.
It's a real town.
58 letters or something?
Something like that.
Real
Insane, the Welsh language. And going up against Bendrop, the 7 seed.
I like San Diego State.
Fine. I don't think I've got I don't have a prayer in this matchup. I'm voting for Welsh Friar.
I'm
in that
voting for
one.
Welsh Friar, too.
So we'll put those up on our Twitter page at Ben and Woods, and you'll have 24 hours to get your votes in for the final members of our Sweet 16. And then tomorrow, we start our Sweet 16 with 4 matchups, narrowing it down to the Elite 8
Polls just went up.
over the next couple of shows. And as we've done, do we have time, Paul? Yeah, we can. We've been looking back. We did our 2020 tournament field 2 days ago.
Yep.
2021 tournament field yesterday. So why not today? Let's revisit from 2 years ago the 2022 field of the Tournament of Drops.
Are you laughing, biatch?
I'm here with my family.
And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
So good.
Nasty.
It's former Padres like Rob Deere, Kurt Bavacqua.
Sucking on a chili dog. Sucking on a chili dog.
Now they're going to talk, and now we're going to fight. Pound Town.
Scooping.
No Vaseline. Guests include Kevin Love, Billy Irish, and many others.
Billy Irish.
We are commanders.
Petco Pork.
Dang it.
Cause I'm an island boy, and I've been trying to make. Oh, I'm an island boy.
Is this the salsa?
That's the salsa.
What's
Salsa?
Salsa?
Hey, salsa. I touch myself.
California cooties.
What?
Beer.
Get great deals like loose. How do you say Lucrene? Loose the cheese, the milk. Lucerne?
I don't know.
A lot of flubs.
Tell me. Flubs in there. Excuse me.
Let's go.
My God!
Why are you so pissy?
Sorry about that, Ben.
Awesome King.
Welcome to the torture chamber.
I'm a lasagna hog. That's the field from 2022. We're back. 2 more hours of Ben and Woods coming
3
up
more
next
hours
year.
of Ben and
Oh, that's right. On 97 through the fan.
All right. Well, usually we're halfway home on a Thursday. Today you're going to get a little extra, Ben and Woods. We're going to be doing the roundtable from 10 to 11. Today's roundtable will feature Ben Higgins as your moderator. He is the best in the business, period, the end. It's a lot of pressure on you, I realize.
I understand that.
But you are made to be a moderator. I mean, you truly are great at it. I'm going to be on there. You're going to have Annie Heilbrunn. You're going to have Craig Elston. And Sammy Levit is going to be filling in for Chris Ello, who's now coming back from Vegas. Tony Gwynn Jr., obviously, I think they're landing soon in Korea. He's not going to be a part of it.
Why not?
I think it would be very cruel to ask him to be a part of it. It was funny, though. Our pal Satan's Blowfish in the chat says, a roundtable hosted by Roundtable sounds like the most Adam-manufactured segment of all time. And I said, yeah, I mean, sometimes in radio, you just have to do the obvious thing. And so yesterday, when the Dylan Cease news broke, Paulie, taskmaster that he is, texted us and said, hey, do you guys want to jump on and do a live stream for a few minutes? And I was so slammed at the time. It was dinner time.
It was like 4:30, 4:45.
What I call it in my house, and I get mocked for it by my wife, I call it crunch time. That is the time in the house where it is so wheels off. I mean, my kids are out of control. They're losing their minds. We're about an hour and 15 from bath time, about 2 hours from bedtime. They're bouncing off the wall. And I go, I don't think I can. Ben said, I think I can do a few minutes. And I went, oh, all right, I can do it.
I was prepared to go live if I needed to, but it would be great to even just one of you guys. And Ben was like, I got a few minutes in between.
I got TV hits, yeah, but I had a few minutes
and then
right
Woods
there.
Like, all right, I just freed up a few minutes. I was like, we're not gonna go crazy, like 20, 30 minutes here. Let's serve the audience a little bit.
So and I realized at the time that's really a good idea. So I said, no problem. I went in the office and closed the door. We did 15 minutes or whatever. And I will say, like, I did, like, we had a live show on the air, and they're breaking the news too. And I just thought, man, are we cannibalizing the audience here? And then I thought, well, we're all on the same team. Let's just do it. And it was a lot of fun. And I like the stream aspect because I can say what I want on the stream, and I did, and it was a lot of fun. And
man, people love hearing you say the F word.
They love hearing the F words, which are just part of my normal conversation. This is not me. What you hear on the radio, that's what you really get. And you guys know off the air.
See, that's what I love. You are hearing me on the radio.
You are. I mean, it's
totally me.
It's me, but it's a very, very tamped down version of who I am. I'm not allowed to be me. The FCC won't allow it. It's literally against the law. So we finish up.
You'd hate to have to go to jail again for something
Correct.
as silly as this.
What are you in for? Cursing on the radio 7,000 times. Like, whoa, stay away from this guy. So my phone rings after, and it's Adam, and I went, oh God, we're about to get chewed out. Like, was this your idea? And I went, oh crap. So he calls me and he goes, hey. I go, yeah. He goes, I just wanted to thank you for doing that live stream. And I said, oh, no problem. And I said, I was worried. He goes, listen, we're serving our audience on a multitude of platforms. We're all on the same team. Just what I had thought. So good job. And then he casually drops this on me.
This is amazing.
This is incredible. He goes, I really appreciate it. I know you hate doing extra work. And I go, what? What was that? And he stopped. He goes, and that came out wrong. And I go, because I was about to start throwing at him. Like, I was like, yeah, man. Like, you know how I roll. Like, this is what I was going to say. It's exactly, I definitely hate running the Tier 1 baseball team that I put together. I definitely hate the Christmas and holiday extravaganza, the Ben and Woods Open, the Saturday shows that we did, that music show we did. I definitely hate going the extra mile for you, Adam. He immediately says in the chat, he goes, that came out wrong. I go, okay, I thought it might have. It laid me. I started dying laughing. I was like, bro, I get it. I know you appreciate it. So it was like, you could hear it in his voice. He's like, I'm a dead man. He's about to throw the list at me right now. Because I got the list in my head. Like, so I was crying like, that's fine, man. But yeah, no, listen, I'm down. Like I'm excited for the roundtable. You know, my only problem with the roundtable is I told the guys this morning. Roundtable is going to be bringing pizza in here. I like pizza. Everybody likes pizza, but we're on the radio and on camera. What am I supposed to smell it for an hour? They're going to take it to the kitchen. Our sales staff is going to plunder and pillage it. I'm going to come out. There's going to be one piece left. It's going to have white sauce on it.
One piece of Guinevere's Garden Delight left. That's it.
Oh, good. You guys did save me the all veggie with Alfredo cauliflower crust pizza. It's
The
exactly
Maui
what I
Zowie
wanted.
is gone. The double play pepperoni is gone. You've got one piece of Guinevere's Garden Delight.
So like, Ben's going to be moderating. There's going to be pizzas in here. I'm going to be smelling pizzas. He's like, what did you think of the Dylan C. show? I'm like, oh, it was actually pretty good. It was good. I'm a big fan of it, you know? So it's great for our sales. We're going to need to put some pizzas off to the side because they always get their grubby paws on everything. Now, they are the one that brokered the deal, but I'm interested to see how it all plays
Left
out.
you a garlic twist.
Just one knot. One bread knot.
And a Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi to drink. So, it's like, I mean, people don't want to see us eating, and they really don't want to hear us eating while we're on the air. So I'm worried about how the logistics are going to go. Like, do I need to move seats?
We're definitely going to have to figure out the seating arrangement and the lighting arrangement and the camera positioning for everyone so everyone can appear. Because we have four? Do we have 4 cameras or 3 cameras?
We have enough. Everybody's gonna have their own camera.
Everyone will have their own camera.
All right.
That's good.
Adam says Roundtable's bringing 2 XL pizzas, salad, sodas, churros, and garlic parmesan twists. We're gonna have salad left. That's it. We should eat salad and pizza on the air. People will love it. No, I'm excited for it. Sammy's gonna be joining us remotely, and it'll be fun. It's always fun to talk baseball. I piss and moan because that's just who I am as a person. But I love talking baseball, and I'm excited to be able to talk to our colleagues because we just don't get to see a lot of them. Working the morning shift. So yeah, I'm excited when we can get us all together.
Yeah, so we'll do today's roundtable, and then the first official one will be the week after opening day, that Thursday. So then there'll be
Not the
weekly.
day after opening.
No, the Thursday. So opening day is Thursday the 28th, and then the next
Right.
Thursday, which is April 4th, will be the first official of the weekly roundtables. This is kind of a sneak preview edition of the roundtable coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. So looking forward to that. We ran out of time right at the end of the hour as we were finishing up the tournament of drops. We played the 2022 field, but we didn't get to reveal who were the finalists and the winner, Paulie, of the 2022 third annual tournament of drops 2 years ago.
Yeah, let me get that lined up here for you. I'll give you the final 4 from the 2022.
Because I heard some
brackets.
classics, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So in the Fernando Tatis region, we had the number 1 seed make it to the final 4.
Are you laughing, biatch?
The preacher, he's amazing.
In the final 4, that went up. In the Joe Musgrove region, we had the great Don Orsillo.
Now they're going to talk, and now we're going to fight.
It's so good.
We had the Blake Snell region was a Ben drop for the 3 seed.
Pound Town.
Very legendary moment from 2022. And in the Manny Machado region, the 1 seed, Ben's stomach gurgle. Now, the stomach gurgle and the Are You Laughing, Biatch, those both lost in the final 4. We had a battle of 3 seeds. We had Benjamin.
Pound Town.
Yep.
And that lost to the champion, the great Don Orsillo.
Now they're going to talk, and now we're going to fight.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The champion of the third annual tournament of drops. Now we're going to fight from Don Orsillo.
It's a good one.
That was a really good drop.
That's a really, really good drop.
It was a strong year.
A very strong year. They've all been pretty strong. So
the field's always, and I forget so many of them after a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's so good to hear them all again.
Yeah, Don's is great.
It's so great that Paulie keeps all of those for our usage.
Right.
If you want to join us, 833-288-0973. Still talking, obviously, about the Dylan Cease trade. We got our Tier 1 tour continuing as well. We're finally making it to the National League West today. We'll start with the Arizona Diamondbacks. The defending National League champions will be first up in the division as we get there. And then Sammy Spring Training will join us a little bit later this hour. He was certainly a busy man yesterday at the Peoria Sports Complex. But if you want to talk a little bit more about the Dylan Cease trade, you can. Of course, the news came down yesterday. The Padres given up. And it depends on what your evaluation and what ranking systems you use. But with MLB.com, I think it was the 5th, 6th, and 8th prospects in the Padres system in Drew Thorpe, Jairo Iriarte, and Samuel Zavala, along with reliever Steven Wilson for Dylan Cease. So a big chunk of your top 10 there going, but none of your top 4.
Yes.
And that's
very important.
That is so
to note.
key.
Yeah.
Because if the evaluations are correct, and if A.J. Preller shares in those evaluations, you have kept your top 4 prospects intact and added a frontline starter. That's hard to do. You have to build a pretty deep farm system to be able to entice another team without even dangling any of your top 3 or 4 prospects in the deal.
Yeah, no
correct?
doubt. With a pitcher that has ace type stuff with 2 years of control left on his deal. Yeah, man, I fully think. And again, there are so many out there that love the prospects. I'm more of a prospect hugger now than I was because I did get panicked. I got panicked with the Juan Soto trade. I was very excited to get Juan, but all you read was that Padres they've mortgaged their entire future. They're done, and they replenished that. None of these guys you'd really even heard of a year ago, Ben, and they replenished that. I loved this tweet last night from at Padres Fan Takes. Says, and you mentioned it earlier, I think, grade it as a 3-team trade now that it's all shaken out. New York Yankees get Juan Soto in a walk year, and they get Trent Grisham. Chicago White Sox get Drew Thorpe, Jairo Iriarte, Sammy Zavala, and Steven Wilson. The San Diego Padres end up with Dylan Cease, Michael King, Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, and Kyle Higashioka. You look at that and go, okay, all right, that makes perfect sense to me.
As if Drew Thorpe never spent any time with the Padres.
Correct.
Just went straight to the White Sox as part of a 3-team deal.
That's right.
And for Juan Soto, essentially, the Padres get 2 starting pitchers.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3 if Brito is in the rotation. So maybe 3 of 5 starting pitchers plus a backup catcher
and another
bullpen option.
Pretty
as well.
solid.
It's doing pretty well,
3/5 of your rotation potentially right there. So, and the Yankees
and multiple years of control. 2 years of Cease, 2 years of King, and even more of Brito and Vasquez in exchange for that 1 year of Soto and 2 years of Grisham left.
I mean, you look at it like that, it really paints a decent picture for what AJ was able to do. And now you have, I mean, anytime you can get 3 guys in your rotation to replace the guys that you lost, and maybe some upgrades as well, and certainly some higher ceilings, I think that's a really, really good deal. I think that's a really good way to look at it.
Padres do remain very right-handed, especially in the starting rotation. We've talked about the lineup, and they're trying to address that with Jackson Merrill and Jurickson Profar and Jake Cronenworth. They've done a little bit, but the starting rotation is all right-handed, correct? There's not even really a left-handed option right now for the starting rotation.
Correct.
So,
I mean, Robbie Snelling is a left-hander, I believe, so he could make his debut later in the year, maybe next year. But yeah, I think that is that's really solid.
Not that that's the be-all, end-all. If you have righties who do a good job of getting some lefties out, it doesn't really matter what side they're throwing from. It's how effective they are against guys on the opposite side of the plate. And Dylan Cease is a guy he's pretty effective against everyone with the kind of movement that he gets and gets a lot of swing and miss. I saw one of my favorite stats I saw yesterday that since 2001, no pitcher has gotten more swing and miss than Dylan Cease.
Yeah, Sarah Langs tweeted that last night. I retweeted it from my account. Yeah, it's Garrett Cole, it's Dylan Cease, and it's Dylan Cease first, then Garrett Cole, then Corbin Burns after that. Saris is another guy that I really, really trust. He likes the Dylan Cease move. Command not as sticky year to year. Good thing in his case. His stuff was still there. Some downticks in velo among starters. His stuff plus 19th in strikeout rate. And again, by all accounts, feeling better, healthier, throwing harder, and we'll see. We'll see. But I love this move even more today than I did yesterday.
Did I say 2001? I meant 2021.
Right.
He has not gotten the most swing and miss since 2001. He was only like 4.
Right. That would be an accomplishment.
All right. So did the trade of Dylan Cease, or the acquisition of Dylan Cease, get the Padres to a level where they can now at least, if not catch the Dodgers, perhaps pass the Arizona Diamondbacks in the battle for second place in the National League West? We will take a look at the Diamondbacks, the moves that they made. They had a busy offseason coming off their National League championship and trip to the World Series. Our Tier 1 tour is coming up next with Ben and Woods. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, our Tier 1 tour down to our final 4 stops. We're into the NL West this week as we take a look today at the 2023 National League champions. Still sounds weird to say.
It very much does.
The Arizona Diamondbacks, who only won 84 games in the regular season, but of course ran through the NL playoffs, upset the Dodgers, and upset the Philadelphia Phillies, and then made it to the World Series where they lost to the Texas Rangers, but buoyed by the postseason appearance and probably some of the postseason revenue that they got. They did invest a little bit more into their roster this offseason, adding players and pitchers to a team that, obviously they're feeling very good about right now in Arizona, Woods.
Dude, I totally forgot that they added Jock Peterson to their team. Of course, when you add Jock, you're going to get a lot of Pusoy in the clubhouse, so I expect them to be just dropping down the standings. He's him and his Pusoy, major distraction for the Giants last year. I'm interested to see what happens. Now, I guess I have to go with the same thing I said about the Texas Rangers, Ben. The hangover scenario is absolutely real. They played so far above their heads. It was awesome to watch. I mean, I know they're a division opponent and all that, but to see them topple some of the teams that they toppled, obviously the Dodgers being number one, they broke the Los Angeles Dodgers. The San Diego Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks combined the last 2 seasons to absolutely break the Los Angeles Dodgers, forcing them to go out and spend $1 billion in the offseason. So I think that they could potentially take a step back. Now, again, they're not projected for many more wins than they won last year. I got them at 83.5 right now.
So they also acquired Eugenio Suarez in a trade with the Mariners, and they re-signed Lourdes Gurriel Jr. But I think, to me, the key to the Arizona Diamondbacks season will be the young players and how season 2 goes for guys like Corbin Carroll and Gabriel Moreno behind the plate. If they continue on an upward trajectory, Diamondbacks are going to be really good.
For a while, yeah.
If like many players, Book gets out a little bit.
Sophomore
and
slump
you have the
style.
sophomore slump. The Diamondbacks could take a slight step backward this season. It's definitely one of the most intriguing teams in the National League, but they got good players.
They got a good manager.
I still like Ketel Marte. They get a good manager as well. The starting rotation remains anchored by Zach Gallen at the top. They did add Eduardo Rodriguez as their other big free agent signing, the former Detroit Tiger, as a free agent deal back in December. Merrill Kelly is back. Brandon Pfaadt is another of those second-year young guys who, what a postseason he had. Now, we saw him in the regular season with some mixed results and going, didn't look like anything that special, but he certainly was special for them in the postseason. He's penciled into their starting rotation as well. So some good players, some question marks there as well.
What do you got? 83.5 wins, over under.
I think I've got over for them.
Okay.
I mean, I like their bullpen. Obviously, Sewald and Ginkel, both guys with San Diego ties, USD and El Capitan. Where did Ginkel go? I think somewhere in the East County there. Both of those guys had terrific postseasons, at least until they didn't right at the end. But through the first 3 rounds were excellent. They're back as kind of the setup and closing options for the Diamondbacks. I look at this roster and, I think they should be an absolute playoff contender in the mid to high 80s, kind of right where I have the San Diego Padres right now after the acquisition of Dylan Cease.
The battle between these two teams is going to be pretty special, I think, and they're
that's going to piss me off.
I know
any and every game that we lose to the Diamondbacks.
100%.
What do we play 9 times?
They're not obviously they're not a bad team, but you feel like you should beat that
but
team.
But it
still
could come down to a tiebreaker or something like that. How is the head to head? Like any time those teams play, it's going to be intense.
I hate to say it, they're a really likable team. They really are, led by one of my favorite managers in baseball, and they're
Torey Lovullo.
He is fantastic. I like them as players. They're fun to watch. I want to be better than them. That's a team I want to leapfrog this season, certainly. And I believe it's absolutely in the cards to do so. The bottom of their lineup is really not all that special, kind of like ours. It's a bit of a top-heavy lineup, but I think you leapfrog them, you're going to be in good shape.
Now, the situation off the field is very different, where the Diamondbacks are not happy with their stadium situation, have even kind of hinted at a possible move in the future if they don't get support from the Phoenix area on a new facility until the postseason. And obviously in the World Series, it was a good, filled up Chase Field, but during the regular season, that place tends to be a bit of a mausoleum and not that fun to go to. Very opposite of the atmosphere at Petco Park, coming off the attendance record last year. Wonder how different it'll be after a World Series, if they're going to see a huge uptick, or maybe just, hey, yeah, for a few games we're all back in, but then it's still Chase Field, and it's an airplane hangar and did the desert in the middle of summer. It's not the best version of baseball ever there, and I wonder what kind of impact that postseason run is going to have this season on the Arizona Diamondbacks and the support that they get there in the Valley of the Sun.
Yeah, Brandon says in the chat, we were a few feet away from beating the Diamondbacks
Juan
in
Soto.
game one of that doubleheader. If Soto's ball goes over the fence, then they have the same record, a true game of inches.
And the
You're
tiebreaker goes to
absolutely
the
right.
Padres.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone remember, I will never forget Bob Melvin taking this couple of steps out of the dugout.
Yeah.
Bob Melvin, who has waited so long. Finally, something good is going to happen. A walk-off, a grand slam. We've waited all season, and he thinks it's going. And then just the utter dejection as it dies a few feet from the wall. Like, can anything go right for this team last season?
The answer to that question is no.
Was no.
No, absolutely no.
The answer was a clear no last year for the Padres, and it was a clear yes for the Diamondbacks in the postseason. I mean, we all thought they were a two-and-done team in the wild card round, right?
100%. Like, it cost me a lot of money in the playoffs last year. I bet against them until I didn't. They were really fun to see.
And that's why, as a Padres fan, you should feel like, hey, if you can just get in, this is what can happen, just like with the Arizona Diamondbacks last year. All right, the Tier 1 Tour continues tomorrow. Got 3 teams left in the NL West before we are wrapped up with every single team in Major League Baseball. All right, bottom of the hour, we'll take a timeout. I believe Sammy Spring Training is going to join us after his very busy day yesterday in Peoria, covering the trade and everything that was going on. Padres departing for Korea. We'll talk to Sammy coming up next on Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Since I do know what everyone is here for, I will let you know that Xander Schauffele and Rory McIlroy are tied for the lead at the Players' Championship.
Okay. All right.
This morning at 5 under as they hit the back nine at TPC Sawgrass.
This is the big purse.
Yeah, biggest purse of the year on the PGA Tour, $25 million.
Mamacita.
Scotty Scheffler is the defending champion. He also won last week, so he's the odds-on favorite.
I'm in a one-and-done league, and you pick yours with a bunch of other guys. You pick one guy, and if you get him one time per season. So I saved Scotty Scheffler for this. Got the email this morning from the commissioner that me and I don't know
everybody
35 other guys pick Scotty
Well,
Scheffler.
you're in a money-based league as well. So this is essentially even more valuable than the majors because there's more money in this tournament than any. So you save your best players for these kind of tournaments. And
Stupid.
I mean, he's the hottest player.
He's so hot.
He got a new putter. He figured it out, and he's the defending champion here.
Yeah.
Kind of be nuts to pick anyone other than Scotty Scheffler this week. I think.
Know it sucks. I think we all whack up the salary after if he won. I think we have to whack up the winnings, which is
share it all amongst you.
Maybe we'll get Sammy Spring Training's thoughts.
Which sucks.
Yeah. All right, we're going to check traffic, and Sam Levit will join us from spring training after a very busy 24 hours for Sam.
I'm ready to hear about the behind-the-scenes action.
I am
from
too.
what
That's
happened.
my first question coming up next here on The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Crash of the coastline southbound 5 at Tamarack has been moved over to the right shoulder. Still seeing quite a bit of residual through that area. And northbound 5 before Carmel Valley Road, there is a crash over to the right shoulder. Westbound 905 before Picador, accident involving a couple vehicles. That is over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, joining us from Peoria, Arizona. Last few days, it is Airbnb. I see him on our YouTube stream. Sammy Spring Training. Sam Levit joining us each day, presented by the San Diego County Toyota Dealers Association. We make it easy. Yeah, first question, Sam. Where were you when the Passan tweet came out, and what was your immediate reaction? What were you seeing going on around you?
Yeah, it was a very interesting scene. So I'll tell you exactly the play-by-play of what happened. So the game ended, and as you guys know, when the game ends at the stadium in Peoria, typically a lot of the players either walk back towards the complex or they take a golf cart back towards the complex. And typically it's a lot of people. It's coaches, it's Mike Schilt, it's the reporters, it's all the minor league players, all the guys that are in the bullpen. So everybody's migrating from the stadium back to the complex. And this season, we've been doing Mike Schilt's post-game press conference on the back patio. Now, what was unique about yesterday, normally at 4 or 5 o'clock, that back patio is empty. And we're just waiting for Mike. And it's just me and AJ Cassavell, Dennis Lynn, Kevin Acee, maybe another reporter or two are waiting out there. But yesterday was very different. There were family members of players there. There were front office members. The complex by 4 or 5 o'clock was packed with people because they're getting ready to go to Korea. So we're standing there waiting for Mike Schilt, and it was actually Jeff Sanders, who's in town from the UT, shows me the Passan tweet. My eyebrows are raised. I make sure I show it to a couple of other people who I think need to know. And it became very clear within a few minutes that word was getting around that the tweet was out, and there were some players that were around those picnic tables, and you could sense that they knew, and they were, I think a lot of them sort of sitting on pins and needles to see what the return was. And keep in mind, again, there are families, girlfriends, wives at the picnic tables. So it was a really interesting scene. You could see it in real time, the reaction of guys. I saw Steven Wilson at a picnic table with some of his teammates. I did not see what Jeff Sanders did a really good job describing in his article from last night, which was him getting the call and then the handshakes and hugs and all that, because by that time I was already on the air. But I saw Steven out there, and at that point he didn't know, even as that news was coming out,
because it came out piecemeal. It came out with Iriarte and Thorpe, and you're like, oh, okay. And then it's like also Zavala, also Steven Wilson. And you're like, all right, this has to be it. This has got to be it. That is nuts, man. What a weird feeling.
Yeah, and then Mike Schilt ended up coming out, and he talked, and he got asked a couple of questions about it and wouldn't say anything, gave a little smile, but obviously wouldn't say anything yet because it wasn't official. And at that point, by the time Mike Schultz spoke, it had not been reported the package going back. So I'll tell you, it was almost a surreal scene there on the back patio as this news is coming out. You see players clearly with the knowledge that the tweet is out, but no knowledge yet of who's going back. Then there were some rumblings around the complex about who might be going back. Obviously, Steven Wilson ultimately found out. But man, to be there for that yesterday was really surreal. And the fact that you had wives and girlfriends and family members there, and literally the buses are lining up to go to Korea as this news is coming out, and as guys are waiting to find out if they're getting their bags pulled off the bus, which happened. So really, really surreal. And it was, I think, a day I'll remember for a long time, that moment. And on that specific day, just a couple of hours from getting on those buses, it was something on the back patio. It really was.
Now, related to that, Sammy, the Padres still have not officially announced who that traveling party was. Now, we've seen some of the guys you've gotten on. There's been some reports, but in terms of those last spots, did Tyler Wade get on? Did Eggy Rosario get on? Do we know anything more about who is with the team in Korea?
I don't, to be honest with you. They left, saw the buses leave from afar as I was on the air with Scraby. I couldn't tell you what, if anything changed from the traveling party, right? Obviously, Wilson came off. He's, I suppose we never really got an answer on Thorpe, but let's assume Thorpe wasn't going to be on there.
But Wilson kind of gets replaced by Cease, even though he wasn't on the bus.
Right,
He's supposed to be joining them.
Exactly.
So theoretically,
Right.
he's one of the 31 in the traveling party.
Right. Well, it's a great point. If Cease is going to join and maybe even pitch in those games against the Dodgers, then he's got to be part of the 31. So that's a 1-for-1 right there. Let's assume that. It could be that nobody else got on that wasn't originally on. I'm not totally sure yet. We haven't seen an official list put out. A lot happened yesterday. Some things may have changed yesterday. Look, I think the bottom line is it's not anything seismic, right, as far as, okay, who was added on? Was there an extra pitcher added on? From the position player standpoint, I think we talked about it yesterday, or talked about it with Craig. You were basically, from a travel party perspective, I think you were looking at 5 travel spots and 6 players who could fill them. Okay, so there was going to be probably one guy that was left off the travel party. Does that one guy now get on the travel party?
Right.
As of a couple hours before they left? I don't know the answer to that. Hopefully we'll find out here at some point. But here's the bottom line. It's a cool thing to think about. I don't know that it's really that impactful in any way, or is really going to break any huge news. But obviously the 1-for-1 that could certainly be possible is Wilson for Cease. We certainly know that if Cease is going over to Korea.
Super, super fascinating to me how it all went down yesterday, Sammy. And obviously, the trade itself is, I think it's a really, really good one for the San Diego Padres, proving that, and I think much to a lot of our, I think it did a good job at kind of reversing kind of our opinion of, man, they're really just kind of throw this thing at the wall and see if it sticks this year. That I didn't feel like it was a punt, because if you're truly punting, you're like, I'm trading everybody. I'm going to unload salary, and they're not doing that. They've added Dylan Cease. I thought it was a savvy move. 2 years of control, only $8 million, a guy that averages 165 innings a year. They needed to replace those innings. And honestly, who better to do that than Dylan Cease right now?
Yeah, you make a great point on what this rotation needed, and I think it's a really important point. And I think we have to revert back to what we've discussed all spring, and that is the questions in the rotation, not just about what will the number 4 and 5 starters do as far as effectiveness, but simply eating innings. We've talked about it at length beyond Joe and beyond Darvish. Michael King is supremely talented. I think we all believe he has the potential to have a fantastic season, but we know that there is a question mark there of sorts with the innings number. So everything after Joe and you has something attached to it that's a question. So to get Dylan Cease, who 2022 was excellent, 2023 the numbers weren't the same, but, his peripherals, the swing and miss nature of it, the
Ks,
strikeouts. Yeah, I mean, this guy has true number one stuff and has proven that he can be a number one. It's not just stuff. He did it in 22. He was outstanding. And at a bare minimum, getting somebody who can eat up innings and who adds some stability to your rotation in that sense makes this rotation so much better. You just answered one of those 4 or 5 questions with Dylan Cease. That's a huge upgrade for your rotation. I think it raises the floor of this team. I think somebody may have tweeted this, but I agreed. The floor and the ceiling of the team, which obviously you do that when you add somebody like this, you just feel so much better about what your rotation is, the innings you could get out of somebody like Dylan Cease, and obviously the effectiveness as well. The fact that you have him for 2 years, the fact that he can go work with somebody like Ruben Niebla, right? You called him, he's sort of like the right-handed Snell in a way. We saw what Ruben did with Blake Snell, and I think a really important part of it is the money. $8 million, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. I said this yesterday with Scraby. We've wondered what the financial flexibility for the Padres was. If last week, let's say, and they still may get Tommy Pham, who knows, but let's say they had signed Tommy Pham to $8 million. I mean, you had to give up the prospects to get Cease, but as far as using the money, I got to give AJ a lot of credit to go find a way to get a cost-controlled Dylan Cease and utilize the finances you have in a really, really nice way. So I like it. With that said, I think Thorpe's going to be really good. Iriarte's got great stuff. Zavala's highly touted. Wilson's a solid right-handed reliever. He's proved that, and I really like Steven. I wish him the best. But you got to give up something to get something, and this is the benefit of dealing from a deep system. And the trade for Soto, you got pitching depth. It added a lot to what your system had. And AJ dealt from that a little bit. So in a lot of ways, I think AJ deserves a lot of credit. I thought he did well. I thought it was savvy. You got to give up something to get something. And that part of it, people got to deal with, okay? And they still got a lot in the system. We don't know what those players will be. We don't know what Cease will do. But this was never a punt. I'm with you, Woodsy. You got too many guys in their prime here on big deals. Yeah. And it makes your rotation a lot better.
Yep.
Let's put it this way. When you talk about transforming the starting rotation, according to the Fangraphs projections, the Padres now have 4 of the top 32 starting pitchers in baseball. If talent was evenly distributed throughout the league, each team would have 1 top 30 pitcher, 1 pitcher from 31 to 60, 1 from 61 to 90, and so on. So to have 4 of the top 32, you're telling me essentially the Padres have 4 1 to number 2 pitchers now in their starting rotation. That's outstanding. One of those guys is Joe Musgrove. Sammy, you saw him pitch yesterday. You talked to him afterwards. Just give us your final impressions of Joe's readiness level heading to Korea.
Yeah, I think he was really happy about how yesterday went. I think he felt like he was ready to go. I mean, we know the struggles early in the spring. He even had to go on a backfield and make an outing because he felt like he had to step back a little bit, get things in order before he went back into a Cactus League game. And he said it yesterday. He's more excited for the Korea start now because he feels like he's where he should be. We've talked about that new sweeper he's throwing. It sounds like that's going to be part of his pitch mix. Like they're going to figure out lineup by lineup based on the day, based on the swings, based on the hitters, how exactly he's going to use that. But I thought Joe seemed as confident and as comfortable in where he's at as he has all spring. So I did think yesterday was very important for him. Sounds like he'll throw some bullpens here over the course of the next week or so. Look, it's an odd schedule. Things are kind of off kilter, right, with the flight. See how his body responds. So I think it's still a work in progress, how exactly he's going to throw and prepare. But he came out of yesterday really, really nicely. And I think in the spot where he wants to be, despite getting off to maybe a little bit of a slow start this spring. So all good on Joe's front.
Sammy, great work, man. Great work yesterday. Great work all throughout spring training. We'll see you on the roundtable. I don't know if you've heard about that. That's happening today, brought to you by Roundtable Pizza. And, What, an hour away?
Be expecting a knock on that door behind you, someone delivering your portion
personal
of the roundtable pizza for the roundtable. We're sending that to you now.
I'll
you should
do
get
it.
it in
I'll go.
about 6.5 hours.
I'll just take it. It's fine. I'll take it to Sammy.
I was going to say,
6 hours.
Can I expense a pizza? I mean, it would only seem right if I could expense a pizza here
no, we're
to get
getting
some
them for
benefit.
Can you keep
getting
it
them
to
for
a
free.
personal-sized pan pizza, not a giant
Go to the
one?
By the
mall.
way-
Go to the mall across the street. Get a Sabaro's slice. That's all you get.
That's exactly right.
By the way, yesterday, because I hopped on with Scraby from I called in at 5, but 5:30 to 7. I was in a I talked about the complex being really crowded. Everywhere I'd usually go to set up the equipment because I wanted to do video, I wanted to be on the headset, was packed. The back patio, the broadcast. I couldn't find a spot, and I didn't want to go to a backfield where guys could hear me anywhere because I felt so awkward talking about this trade.
It's
and guys
so
who might be
weird.
Traded. I literally, where the bathrooms are in the backfields? I literally went out there, found an outlet, got the hotspot, set up everything. That's where I stood. It got dark out while I was out there. I was literally worried I was going to get locked in. Thankfully, the door was still open.
You scaling that fence would have been incredible content, Sammy.
So, yes, it was quite the day at Peoria Sports Complex. But a cool scene. It really was. It was kind of surreal.
Thank you,
All right,
buddy.
Sammy, we will talk to you in a little over 1 hour from now. Sam Levit from the Peoria, Arizona, last couple of days. And don't forget, Sammy is going to be calling the Spring Showcase game, which will take place tomorrow. Padres taking on the Mariners. And since I see Adam in the chat, and he's mad that I am now jumping in on the impressions of Adam. It just looks like it's so much fun when Woods does it, so I thought I'd try it myself. What time is that? What time is the prospect game tomorrow? The Spring Showcase game? Can Adam type into the chat since I know he's there and tell me when that starts so we can let everybody know if they can catch it tomorrow with Sam Levit from the Peoria Sports Complex.
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock. So it's an afternoon game tomorrow. So yeah, you'll have that for you live, and then we'll have coverage of both of the Padres spring games from Korea on Sunday. One is at 3 a.m., one is at 9 p.m. on Sunday, but both of those games will also air live with Jesse and Tony here on 97.3 The Fan.
Unbelievable.
And it's Selection Sunday. We'll have a lot to talk about on Monday morning.
As we usually do.
No doubt about it. We got 1 hour left. I think Paulie has some headlines in the Roundtable Report. Want to get some more calls in on the trade as well. 833-288-0973. It's Bennett Woods on The Fan. It is 9 a.m. on Thursday morning here in San Diego, California. It is 3 a.m. on Friday morning in Seoul, South Korea, where the Padres are either scheduled to land imminently or may have already touched down. I know they're very close on their flight that they boarded last night in Arizona to get to Korea, and then they will start trying to adjust to the clock, to the time change, to the date change, and get ready for their week in Korea.
I'm tracking it right now.
I have not.
They are landing in 16 minutes.
16 minutes away. So they'll go through customs. Hopefully it won't be too much of a hassle at 3 a.m. and get to a team hotel. Get a few more hours of sleep is ideal, and then try to get up so you can get on a body clock that is accurate to Korea time for your week there and get into peak athletic performance by the time you face the Dodgers on Thursday in Korea. Well, let's see. It'll be late Wednesday night in Korea, and it'll be early Wednesday morning here.
So let's do a little game of process of elimination, Ben. Okay?
Sure.
You ready?
Yeah.
So Vince just tweeted the rosters for the Padres spring breakout game. Okay? Robbie Snelling, Dylan Lesko, Adam Mazer, Ryan Bergert, Austin Krob, Braden Nett, Cole Paplum, Carson Montgomery, Bradley Rodriguez, Javian Sandridge, Ethan Salas, Brandon Valenzuela. No surprises yet. J.D. Gonzalez.
No.
Infielders. Leodalis Debris. Eggy Rosario.
Oh.
Now, continue.
Dathan Mortarella. Marcos Castañon. Nerwillian Cedeno. Outfielders. Dylan Head, Jacob Marcy, Homer Bush Jr., Marilyn Pauly no longer on the infield roster. You can see how Zavala was expendable with these three outfielders. So Eggy
did they take now? Jackson Merrill was originally on this roster. Have they taken him off?
Yeah, he's off.
But they did not take Eggy off.
And Graham Pauly is no longer on it either.
All right, so that
would lead me to assume
that Eggy is not on the traveling party.
Correct.
Which would lead you to think that Tyler Wade is on the traveling party.
Correct, along with Graham
Pauly. And one of those two guys will likely start at third base for the two games against the Dodgers, with Manny Machado sliding in as the designated hitter.
Interesting. Very interesting.
All right. Good process of elimination.
Thank you.
Now, unofficial, obviously.
Right.
We have not received any word from the San Diego Padres. But if Eggy Rosario truly did remain behind and is going to be in the prospects game.
Oh, I bet he's so bummed.
Now, the fact that Tyler Wade is not on there doesn't tell you a lot.
Right,
he's not a
prospect.
He's not a prospect. He wouldn't be playing in a prospects game. So him missing from the roster, he could still be sitting there in Peoria and just also
and
not on the prospects roster. It doesn't guarantee that he's on the plane. But I do think that is interesting information at the very least.
Yeah,
right
just
there.
the fact that you see Eggy's name on there, leads you to believe that it would be really hard for him to be on the plane to Korea and play in that
And
game
could I see
tomorrow.
a scenario where they left his name on, but they did put him on the plane and they just haven't taken his name off the
That's
list
fair.
yet?
I mean, I guess.
Yes, I can see that scenario absolutely happening too.
I guess that's true as
Were
well.
they busy yesterday?
Yeah, they were a little
Yeah,
bit,
a little bit.
slammed yesterday. Yeah, very interesting stuff. So we'll see. When will we know? Today at some point?
I don't
we get
know.
out of here?
I mean, remember, it's 3 a.m. when they're arriving. So I don't expect to hear anything Padres related from them for at least, 10 to 12 hours, maybe afternoon Korea time. So maybe tonight around 7 or 8, you might start getting some word from the Padres. I mean, maybe their social media team will put up a video of them getting off the plane or something in Korea, but then they're all shutting down for a few hours and trying to adjust. So I'm expecting very little in terms of Padres news for at least the next 10 to 12 hours until they're kind of settled and then up in Korea for their day, which will be, of course, late in the day here. They'll be in the middle of the day on Friday. We'll be in the evening here on Thursday.
Okay. Makes sense.
All right. I want to open the phones and get some more reaction.
Are we not doing Roundtable report?
We are going to do the Roundtable
we are.
report.
Okay.
But see, if I ask for the calls now, you can get in line, 833-288-0973, and then listen to the Ryle report. It's like entertainment while you're on hold waiting to talk to us as Paulie gives us some headlines and some stories that we haven't gotten to. And get things started here with our today's edition of the Ryle report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, indeed.
Now, scratching my first story here because Woods just told me about this one. We will start off in the NHL, and I'm reading along as I go here. But the Pittsburgh Penguins were scheduled to have a big bobblehead giveaway.
Jaromir Jagr, just one of their
Jaromir Jagr.
He is, the legend.
We know how bobblehead nights go here in San Diego.
Yeah.
Tough tickets to get.
It's huge.
Get there early.
Buy an
Everybody
extra
wants
ticket,
their bobblehead.
You get a ticket, and then on top of another ticket to get your bobblehead. In some cases, the special ones. This is a big one.
The theme game tickets.
Theme game tickets.
Well, there's a problem.
Bit of an issue.
Penguins announced this morning that
The bobbleheads aren't bobbling.
No, they're bobbling.
No, they're bobbling. We just don't know where they're at because the shipment of bobbleheads was stolen.
Hijacked. Stolen. Yeah, like the
Tony
Sopranos.
Soprano's crew hit it.
Yes.
Team learned it was a victim of cargo theft when they failed to receive the shipment of bobblehead dolls. Blah, 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 blah. They reached out to both the manufacturer and the transportation companies and alerted state and federal authorities who are working to locate the stolen cargo. So all fans that show up in attendance for the game are going to get a voucher that includes a one-time scannable barcode, and you can get the bobblehead at a later date. I'm sure you just put in your address. Or
Yeah.
They'll tell you when to come pick it up.
What a
or something
nightmare.
like that.
If they find it, or do they have to? They're going to have to make them all over again. I've got to imagine if I'm the criminal.
What a score.
In this case, and I hijack the truck, and it's filled with bobbleheads.
You're so pissed.
I'm kind of wondering, what am I going to do with these? I mean, they were going to be given away for free, and now I've got them. But if I try to sell them, everyone
will know
knows
that I stole them.
I stole them because no one got theirs, so they're not just floating out there in the market like extra bobbleheads. I've got all the bobbleheads, and now there's really nothing I can do with them at this point.
I think if I'm just putting myself in the criminal's shoes, what I do is I just torch the truck, and I go back to the drawing board on my next heist. Yeah, well, this is
sell 30,000 bobbleheads on eBay.
A missed opportunity for us as a criminal crew. And
you can't sell them because then everybody knows where you got
just
it.
said that. Like you can't
you're
do
screwed.
it. You asked the bet. We asked the bet on this one. We grabbed the wrong truck. They were supposed to be Armani suits.
They're supposed to be gold bullion, and we got bobbleheads instead.
I did always laugh when I would watch Sopranos, and they would be talking about some of the stuff that they stole. Like they had World War I mementos on one truck. They had the flat screens; those obviously would move. They had the coat, like the coats, the fur coats. They would do that one. But the one that always killed me, Tony said, we hijacked a truck of vitamins. They sell these things for $50 more or whatever. Like it was vitamins. They would rip off a truck of anything. But even the Soprano crew could not move all of the Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads. There'd be nothing to do with them. Holy cow.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
All right, next up, I'd like to apologize in advance, but stick with me. I'm going to do a little bit of Dodger love in here.
Oh, great.
Oh, wow.
I hate the Dodgers, but I will tip my cap when I think it's necessary.
This is brilliant.
I want to talk about Andrew Tolles. He has not played.
Let's not mock this segment, Ben, right now. Yeah, this is talking about somebody's mental health, and he's trying to do bits and stuff.
Andrew Tolles is a former baseball player.
He finally goes for it.
He has not played the game since 2018.
Yeah.
In fact, just in 2020, he was homeless and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And I think they've done this every year since this has gone down. But once again, the Dodgers re-signed Andrew Tolles to a $0 deal, which allowed him to continue to use the team's mental health services and be on their insurance plan and get the help that he needs. And I think that is outstanding.
Yeah, always. I mean, total class move. There's nothing you can say about this. It's a really, really good move by them.
And that's all I have to say.
Enough of that.
You do a great job, Paul.
Yeah, Paul, you do a great job. That's a great move.
I'm not gonna say anything.
That is a
I'm
classy move. I would hope that the Padres or any other team would also, under similar circumstances, do the same thing.
No question.
All right, and then finally, Woodsy, do me a favor. I know you watch on YouTube on your computer. Go to our page.
Yep.
So that you're watching in real time.
Okay.
'Cause I am gonna play a clip here from a new song. Single is out, and we just got a snippet of the music video. I want to know if you can tell me who this is.
I lost you, thought I had you, but you were never really mine. So I'm crying.
That is my 6-year-old son, Bo Woods.
It is not Bo Woods.
Got a little look to him. Who is that?
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, not bad.
Kind of old-timey sound.
Big time.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I know who it is. Paulie
You
told
do?
me this morning.
I told Ben when you were gone.
And it blew my mind.
What if I told you that is also this kid?
Yodel Boy!
It is. That's him. He's now, 17 years
Yeah,
old?
17, I think we looked it
And
up.
becoming a recording artist. Now, he already appeared on that Old Town Road remix. There he is, yodeling.
That's fantastic. Good for him. It's the first 10-year-old kid I really wanted to bully at the time. I really, if I saw him, Mason Ramsey.
Mason Ramsey.
If I had seen him in that Walmart, I would have hip checked him into a big bottle of turtle wax, a big display
Does
of
it make
turtle
you feel
wax.
old?
If I was his dad, I'd be like, will you shut up? Shut up!
I mean,
Stop yodeling!
It's a throwback Thursday. That's about as early as it gets in Ben and Wood's history.
Dude,
Yep. Yodel
he
boy.
was awesome.
I'm
begging you. Please, shut up. Shut up. Can we go throw? Can we go throw? Go to the cages? Anything. Oh my God. How did we raise a yodeler? Is what I would have been screaming. That's
blown away.
Puberty.
Yep.
Puberty got him.
Now, a
sounds
couple years
fantastic.
later, he was on that remix version of Old Town Road with Lil Nas X. But now this is his own stuff.
What's the name of this song?
That song is Blue Over You.
Play some more of it. I really like it.
I do too.
Like Roy Orbison.
Thought I had you, but you were never really mine.
Amazing.
So good.
Syrupy.
I was like,
amazing.
My little guy's all grown
I was
up.
like, is this a clip, deleted scene from Elvis?
You're right. That's so good. Satan's Blowfish says, what a turn of events if Bo hears the segment falls in love with yodeling. I mean, you're supposed to support.
Please get a video of Bo attempting to yodel.
I even think he would be so cringed out by it. I don't think he could do it. Holy cow. That is unreal.
Your reaction was outstanding.
He's
when
amazing.
learning
I
that was Mason
away.
Ramsey.
That worked out
I was
very
blown,
well.
blown away.
Before we go to break, just while we're on the subject of Woods' children,
Oh.
can I share the video
Yeah.
that you sent over earlier?
Yeah, last night.
Let me cue it up for everybody watching on the YouTube.
And if not, you can hear it.
Our beloved Taylor Woods.
I'm sass twice, dude.
Like father, like son.
Like father, like son. Yeah, I needed it for a bit.
Why is he crying?
I'm sass twice, dude.
He's got a big tear on his cheek.
I don't say it twice, dude.
He stubbed his toe. And I had him on my
I'm
lap.
sass twice, dude.
So
amazing.
He had a little tear. He was sitting on my lap, and I was trying to make him laugh and tickling him and stuff. And he always asked me. He really likes the drops that we play, and he always asks me about the drops. So I had him recreate that.
Well, he's a
yesterday.
1 seed this year, and now he may be a 1 seed again next year
Dude, he's so
as well.
funny. So funny. Yeah,
Paul?
one little single tear running down his face.
Poor baby.
Paulie, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You can tune in to 97.3 The Fan next Wednesday and Thursday as Soapy Joe's presents the games from Seoul, South Korea. Listen to Jesse Angler and Soapy Joe's Chief Bubble Officer, Tony Gwynn Jr., call the action. Soapy Joe's also the official sponsor of our Padres in Seoul, South Korea watch party Wednesday morning, March 20th at 3 a.m. at 7 Mile Casino. It's all brought to you by Soapy Joe's Car Wash. Good, clean fun. I need to get a car wash today, so I will be heading to Soapy Joe's after our roundtable, I believe, this afternoon or this morning, which is actually only 45 minutes away. Until then, though, our phone lines are open. If you want to react, your thoughts on the Dylan Cease trade, 833-288-0973. You can hop into the chat on YouTube as well. Tweet us at Ben and Woods. All coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. We got some callers on the line still reacting to the Dylan Cease trade. 833-288-0973. And Paulie's also calling up some audio we haven't played yet. I just saw on Sports Illustrated's website. Yes, they still exist, apparently. Padres manager Mike Schilt had the most awkward press scrum.
So good.
After the blockbuster Dylan Cease trade.
He's a bit of a coy boy yesterday.
This was courtesy of our Sammy Levit. You want to go to a call first, or do you want to go to the audio first? All right, let's take a call first. Let's go to Luis. Welcome to Ben and Woods on a big day.
Hey,
Hi,
buddy.
Luis.
Hi, guys. Hi, good morning. Yeah, I just wanted to mention about Paulie's report that a team was helping someone with their health insurance.
Yeah.
The Padres are already doing it.
Yeah.
Remember Matt LaChapa?
Matt LaChapa, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they have. So the Padres are already helping them out.
That's great.
So
They've
I
been
just
doing it for a
wanted to
long
mention that,
time.
okay? Yeah, that's great. I think he has a lifetime contract for $1 a year.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, 100%.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, the story of Matt LaChapa, if you don't know it, he was a second-round draft pick from 1993, El Capitan High School. Was at Class A Rancho Cucamonga, and while warming up to enter a game in 1996, would have been the season opener as a relief pitcher, he collapsed and suffered a heart attack. Nearly died. CPR, went to the hospital, had a second heart attack. Obviously, he suffered lasting effects from the two heart attacks and has been mostly confined to a wheelchair. But he's remained in the Padres family this entire time
Pretty
for
amazing. 3
decades since then, and they have taken care of him, made sure he's stayed on the insurance, and he's been honored. They've had Little League fields, a scholarship, and a foundation that were established as well in his name.
That's the good stuff right there, buddy.
Absolutely. Luis, good point. Very good. Thank you for calling in. Chris is next up here with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Hi, Chris.
Morning, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call.
Our pleasure, buddy.
Hey, has anybody else found the timing of yesterday's trade? And I'm a fan of it. Don't get that wrong, but I find it. I had the same thought last year when we signed Bogarts, but on the day that we get the news about Garrett Cole with the Yankees, all of a sudden we announced this Dylan Cease trade, which kind of made me think, did we almost panic buy before the Yankees upped their price on him? And again, last year I had the same thought with Bogarts. We lost out on the Aaron Judge sweepstakes, and the very next day, all of a sudden, we announced this kind of out of the blue signing of Xander Bogaerts.
It's a good point. I thought the same thing. Not really. I didn't really look at it as panic. And AJ did say they'd been talking to the White Sox, amongst other teams have been talking. The Giants were also in on him. Now, that's the one, to me, I don't know that the Padres really care what the Yankees do. But the Giants is one where that one is like, if the Giants are interested and they're offering 3 of their top prospects, well, let's offer 3 and a major league ready guy that can slot right into your bullpen. There could be something to the timing yesterday. I think that's just probably how it worked out. But I think if you're a fan of the Giants, you've been in on so many guys and you haven't really gotten anybody. And there's a lot of teams actually like that. The Yankees too. I mean, losing Garrett Cole for 1 to 2 months is what they said now. You're pretty bummed that you didn't go out and get Dylan Cease yesterday.
I think there's something to that. I mean, the game of being a GM involves a little bit of poker, and you got to read the circumstances. And if you think the Yankees are about to up their offer out of desperation, it behooves you to perhaps up your offer a little bit and finalize something before it becomes too late.
It's not like you didn't need Dylan Cease. You didn't really need Xander Bogaerts. That, if you want to call that maybe a panic buy, that's probably accurate. But you absolutely needed Dylan Cease.
The Jim Bowden, I mentioned this earlier from The Athletic, his quote was, "The Padres ended up with the strongest package by a lot, from what I'm told."
Well, they were willing to offer it because it's a good point. Like in the chat, somebody said the White Sox asked the Yankees for Spencer Jones, and the Yankees said, absolutely not. We're not doing that. Spencer Jones, I think, went the entire spring training. He didn't swing and miss at a pitch. He's a really, really good prospect for them. Local kid, played at Encinitas Little League. And so he... Look at me. I just did the local. You've been really
good work.
Oh, God.
Good work. I'm proud of you.
What is happening to me?
You pulled the demon out of Ben.
I did, and then Ben put the demon right inside of me. Yes. Damn it. That's not the demon I want. He once filled up at a Chevron here.
He's heard of San Diego.
Son of a... That really threw me for a loop. It came so natural to me, too. So listen, it's also a matter of what they're willing to concede.
And the question in the chat is, are you saying we got fleeced? I I wouldn't go that far. You don't ever want to be the team that offers so much more than anyone else. You want to be the team that offers $1 more or a slightly better prospect to get the deal done. You also don't want to be the team that finishes second in every trade, every free agent signing. Hey, we put together what we thought was a very competitive offer. Well, you didn't get him, and ultimately that does you no good. AJ Preller, for all of his good qualities and all of his faults, he doesn't like being the guy who finishes second in a lot of these races to acquire players. So he makes sure he gets an offer in there that's going to get the job done. We've seen that over and over again, and he did it here with Dylan Cease. Now, even though Bowden reported that the Padres may have overwhelmed them with the offer, he also is high on the trade. He says Dylan Cease should be able to return to his 2022 form because he will benefit from going from one of the game's worst defensive teams to one of the best, and also should get better run support and bullpen help. Huge trade for San Diego in terms of chasing that third wild card berth. So that's what a former GM for the Athletic has to say.
It doesn't feel like they overpaid, though.
I don't feel like it's an overpay. Not today. I mean, this is exactly.
Maybe if it was only 1 year, but even then, 1 year of Dylan Cease at $8 million
$8 million
would be a pretty damn good acquisition.
No doubt.
For 2 years, I am absolutely fine with the trade.
For a 19-year-old Zavala, Iriarte is got electric type stuff. Can he harness it? Use it at the big league level? Maybe.
And because A.J. Preller is good at least building a highly ranked minor league system, what are the Padres' 5th through 10th guys are more of the 1st through 5th guys on most teams' prospects. So he can offer lesser prospects that still look better than teams are. Hey, we can't give you our 1 guy. Well, your number 3 guy isn't as good as the Padres' number 7 guy.
We're using all our good
I'm going with the Padres.
We're using all our good roundtable material here, Ben.
Fine.
Honestly. But
we'll just make Annie talk more.
That's exactly right. But I think that there's a lot to that. And again, is anyone out there afraid that we cannot go out and find another Iriarte and go out and find another?
I'll tell you someone who's not afraid.
Drew Thorpe.
A.J. Preller is not afraid.
Correct.
He will just say, I will now go find another Jairo Iriarte clone to add to our minor league system.
I think he lives for it.
He does. He really does.
I think that's the challenge.
All right, so awkward press conference. Our Sammy Levit was here with this audio. So, yeah, he talked about the timing when he joined us. Game had just ended. Mike Shildt walks over from the field to the back patio. And this is when the Jeff Passan tweet has just broken. But you could tell if Mike Shildt knows what's going on, he knows that it's not time to start making bold proclamations and announcements of a trade. It's not his job to do that. So he's got to play very coy here in this press conference.
What did you and AJ just talk about? Just talked about, good Cactus League and felt good about it. News for him to break in? No, not for me.
How's the traveling roster look right now?
It looks like the travel roster that I left before the game with.
Does it?
Look, I just got the field, so I can't. I wish I could help you. Wish I could help you.
I would love to play poker with
what
Mike
did you
Shildt.
and AJ just talk about? Okay.
Back to the corner.
What did you just talk about? We talked about a good Cactus League. Good Cactus League.
Yeah, had a good Cactus League. Sign. It's all good. AJ, he did. He walked up and said, I really like that Cactus League you had. And I said, I liked it too. I was proud of it.
A good Cactus.
Anyway.
I'm sure that's what you were just talking about.
You're like, well, Mike, we all just got the passing bomb. We saw you two talking.
No.
You then hugged AJ Preller.
I don't know, Jeff Passan. He is funny as
Really
hell,
good
dude. I wish I
Cactus
could help
League.
you. And then it follows it up with, I wish I could help you. I'm so excited we have him every Friday. I think we're going to get some gold out of him. He's so good, man. I love it. All right. Go to break.
We got another giveaway. Before we go to break, we've got more tickets to the San Diego Legion. 2 days from now, they will have their home opener at Snapdragon Stadium against Rugby FC Los Angeles. If you want to win a pair of tickets, now's the time to call in. Second caller is going to grab them at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. You can get your own tickets at sdlegion.com. The MLR season underway, and the home opener this Saturday with the San Diego Legion at Snapdragon Stadium. All right, final segment. We can talk more Dylan Cease, although we're going to be doing that for a good part of the next hour as well.
Thursday, gentlemen.
Oh, do we have something?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you.
Love it.
We needed that.
Forgot about that.
Thank you, Paulie. Well, we did the throwback on Mason Ramsey
That's
just
true.
a second ago. But this will be an actual Ben and Woods this week in Ben and Woods history throwback coming up next here on 97.3 The Fan. Congratulations to Art.
Oh, there you go, Art.
Art, who just won the Legion tickets and had a really nice compliment that he shared with Paulie during our break there. He said, I've been listening. You guys are terrific. You were a guiding light for sports radio in San Diego.
I'm glad I didn't make the Art the fart joke I was going to make because you have to do it.
I made the Art Vandelay joke from Seinfeld.
So good. Thank you,
But
Art. Very
once he
nice.
said guiding light, Woods and I both became then
perked up.
obsessed going, what was that guiding light theme song? We started humming it, and then we said, Paul, you need to find it. We're going to play it.
My
and
man's digging.
And then he's playing it, and we're going,
That's
not
not
it.
it.
That's
it,
not
you
it.
moron. You were
Find
like
it.
And then we
yelling
both
at me.
realized we were thinking of the Young and the Restless theme song.
Well, and Art definitely didn't say, you guys are the young and the restless. I'm restless, so, but
young.
you're not. Paulie's young. What are you? You're the and. Yeah. Young and restless here on 97.3 The Fan. Yeah, you're your and.
But that's the iconic theme
Keep
song
playing that
there.
song,
Yeah, give
by
us
the
more
way.
Young
I
and the
love-
Restless theme song here.
It's an elite theme song.
It is.
It's already done.
So soothing. That's not
This
it.
is not
That's
it anymore.
Mother.
That's you told me.
You had it a second ago. You were playing it when we came back. That was a totally different song that you just started playing again.
This is when I wish we had Bobby Cressy, Padres organist.
Just
When I wish
live
you wouldn't tell
organing
me
everything.
something 5 seconds before, like as the bumper
This
music's coming back.
this is what you're
It
dealing
also took
with.
you guys 5 minutes to realize that you were thinking of the wrong television
This is
show.
the job.
That's not it. I'm like,
This is
I'm
the
telling you
job.
what it is.
This is
Just play General Hospital now.
No, I want that one that I want to hear. The melody is unresolved in my head. So good. I liked soap operas a little bit when I was a kid.
I certainly watched a lot of them.
Oh. It's beautiful. Stunning piece of music. Like, you may like Mozart, you may like Bach and Beethoven. It doesn't really get better than that.
I agree. 100%.
I just instantly whisked back to my childhood of sitting on my ass watching soap operas
Now,
as a kid.
I don't think my mom and my grandma, who I watched the soap operas with when I was little, I don't think they watched The Young and the Restless. They watched the ABC ones. It was always All My Children, then One Life to Live, and then General Hospital.
Yeah.
Noon, 1, 2 o'clock. And like they'd watch all 3 hours.
It's incredible.
And I guess that's what you did when you had little children. You couldn't
kids.
leave the house.
Yeah.
You stuck with the little kids and me and my brother and at home, and we'd watch soap operas.
Yeah, I did the same thing, and I watched them. I got into them. That's so good, so good. Yeah, I just brought back a lot of memories. Thank you, Paulie, for being quick on the draw there.
Not as quick as he usually is, but pretty quick.
it happens.
I mean,
It's on us. That's on us.
Very quick.
So we have a Throwback Thursday. We're going to do the roundtable here in about 18 minutes.
Just pizza.
Pizza's
delivered
here.
right
Should we
outside the
get some
studio.
now?
I'm not getting any. I'm just stay away.
Okay.
You can do it during traffic,
Yeah, okay.
which we'll get to next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Wrapping up our morning drive with a couple of problems here. North on 125 at the 54. Collision in the center divide, but fire crews got that left lane blocked. And hit and run crash on the coastline, south on 5. This is right before Las Pulgas. It's over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Paulie, where are we going on today's Throwback Thursday for Ben and Woods?
We are going to go back to 2021. 3 years ago tomorrow, we have this clip here. And it wasn't that long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, we played the clip of Ben's stomach gurgle from a few years back. Well, we also had one from Woods, which I had completely forgotten.
I hope it's not what I'm thinking of.
It went unnoticed.
Oh,
and
okay.
a listener was like, hey, are you guys going to let Woods slide on this? So
I get to slide on a lot of stuff.
Here's the clip from March 15th, 2021.
A listener, Alex, sent this to Paul over the weekend and said, how did you guys miss this last week? This is me.
This is a clip from Wednesday's show.
I know. Not a ton.
maybe a little, maybe. Not really.
Did you hear that? Paul, you've isolated it.
Very subtle.
I mean, it was tough to hear.
Tough to hear.
So
I'm sure you didn't hear it on your radio in the car right now.
maybe a little, maybe.
That's my body doing something.
Something rising to the top. I hear something coming up. I hear it rising up your esophagus somehow.
Well, then Paul took another listener suggestion and decided to come up with, well,
the remix version.
The remix version. So stupid. Let's do it all day. Stupid. That's like one of the greatest things I've ever heard.
Your stomach.
Let's be honest. There's a Twix in my stomach that my stomach was processing, I'm sure. So dumb. I love it. Well done. The plane has touched down. They touched down, Ben. They are there. And
now they have to go through customs.
I nod because I'm pretending that I know what that means, even though I've done it.
I did it once.
I've done it.
I didn't have anything to declare, I don't think.
Do they ask you then if you have something to declare or when you leave?
No, I think it's...
Or both.
When you arrive.
Are you sure?
Well, you have to fill out on the plane. Remember, they hand
you something.
Little like sheets of paper.
Hannah
and you have
just
to write
did it for
everything down.
And then my parents did it for us when we went
And then they
to
collect
London.
those, and then you get to the little station, and they ask if you have anything to declare. And then they let you into the country. I
declare
think.
a thumb war.
Now, so this is more complicated, though. When you're going for work, you also have to be permitted, like get work visas.
Some sort of visa.
Yeah, and I don't believe the American-born players need to do it. It depends on like the working relationship between different countries, but I think players from some of the Latin countries do need visas to work in South Korea, even for a week, because this is part of their official job. So the Padres had to arrange all of this. It's got to be likely the most complicated road trip that they've ever been on. They've taken some extra staffers. I know TJ Lacita, who we got to hang out with at spring training, has been on top of this they went to Korea like in the off season to scout everything.
Did
and
they
lay it
really?
all out.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
he led a
God.
party that was like the advanced scouting party. Like the drive from the hotel to the
you gotta
ballpark.
know
and
all that
they
stuff.
said, okay, traffic's really bad here, so we need to make plans for how we're going to get there, make sure we're on time. So the details have been certainly analyzed, and we'll see if all that planning pays off for the Padres this week with a well-prepared, smooth week in Seoul, South Korea.
Can we go back to the customs conversation? You don't want to mess around at customs. You don't. Like, it's not a time to do bits and show, I declare that. You just
like in the security line, you don't joke about having a gun.
Right.
You don't joke in customs.
You don't. You just walk up, you hand them your sheet and your passport. They always look at you weirdly, and like they almost look at you like you're
turkey chili.
I didn't get any bread.
Don't worry about it.
Just keep going.
No entry to the country for you.
The guy like looked at me when we went to Europe, and he gives you like the stamp, and you're lucky to be here, and you just kind of shuffle through. I remember we were coming back from our honeymoon. We were the day before we started on the job here. We were in the customs line for about 6 hours. It felt like in Paris. It was one of the worst days of my life, the trip back. But I still don't really get in visas and work visas and all that stuff. What a process to go through for the team.
Yeah, it's very complex. Many different layers that are going on, and hopefully it'll be a smooth run. I want to go back to the conversation about internal monologues.
Yeah, I'd love to.
That we had a little bit earlier, because I didn't realize, we saw Paulie sent us something yesterday.
Hold on. All these
30.
Look at that. There's the sales
guy. Look at this. This is just like we said.
We haven't even started yet.
Beat it.
Like 30 to 50% of people don't have an internal, like, running dialogue, monologue going in their head.
Correct.
And I feel like I've always got one. Like right now, my internal monologue is...
This hurt my brain to try to even process.
Aztecs games today at 2:30. I'm going to be playing UNLV. Let's see. Well, I've got to drive to work. Do I want to leave a little bit early so I get there? Or should I drive?
How did you and I not...
Like get there for the second half? Am I going to miss some of that if I want to watch it? And then it was the last night's game. The women, they played UNLV. They lost 2, but
that sneaks in there.
It's like I just have my internal monologue that goes all the way through.
But the problem is a lot of times your internal monologue comes out on the air, right? and you start working like that scenario, you will say on the air. 100%. And once you get going, I'm like, best to just let him finish. I've stopped trying to. I've stopped just like, he's on one. When you start doing, you know what really gets you? When you're talking about seeding things or the seeding of a tournament, you're like, well, then we could be a 4.
Yeah.
And then the 5 is if they beat the 6. And I'm like, I just got to let him go. I got to let him go till he gets it all out. But you also do that in your brain.
Yeah, net rankings and Ken Palm and stuff.
Just
so if
knocking on your
if
door.
UNLV, they dropped down to 78 yesterday, so that means the Aztecs now have a quad 2 loss. It's their only quad 2 loss of the season, which means if they win, they're going to keep UNLV from rising back into the top 75. So they're not going to get that quad 1 win back. If they do lose, though, UNLV might jump back into the top 75. So they'd actually not have any quad 2 losses. So is it better that the Aztecs lose that game? No, there's no way it's better if the Aztecs lose the game today. That's my internal monologue that just keeps kind of
But it also
running
spills
constantly.
out sometimes. Sometimes I'll ask the question of like, Ben, explain to me how this is going to work. And then I just watch the process unfold. And I go, all right, let's let him do his thing. And now mine is crazy. Like I can't turn this thing off ever. My brain never, ever stops. And then you start overthinking about things, and it just, I'm laying in bed at night like, the world's going to end. Everything sucks. This is going to happen. It's just very, very tough. Very tough.
That sounds more like
it's anxiety.
Yeah, an anxiety disorder than an internal monologue.
Well, my internal is he's insane. The guy that's up there is insane.
Mine's more for my own entertainment
That's true.
purposes.
I'm working things out.
For entertainment purposes only, we've got an internal monologue going right now, but I try not to spin myself out too much with my internal monologue. I also spend a lot of time in the car, which requires, I know you listen to a lot of music. Yeah. I listen to a lot of sports talk, but occasionally I just listen to my own internal monologue. Sometimes I'll play rounds of golf in my head and just imagine like a round of golf.
No,
and I'll
you
go
do that
through
on
the
the air
entire
too.
round
No,
of golf. And
he fully has come in and been like,
just
well,
imagine like we're okay. I hit my
7
drive
iron, yes.
here, and then my second shot will be a 7 iron.
Yes.
And I could miss that a little bit left, but then that's a good spot to miss, and I'll be chipping from the side of the green there. And
look at these lurkers. Beat it.
It's funny that no one was outside of our studio for 3 hours and 50 minutes, but as soon as pizza arrives, there are now 7 people.
Here's my favorite
who are
bit.
immediately there.
Here's my favorite bit. No one has reached for the pizza yet, and there's a sales guy standing, and he's doing the classic move. The hands on the hips.
Waiting for someone
looking down
else.
at it, waiting. Doesn't want to be the first guy to go. And he's just looking at it with the hands on the hips. My dad does that bit. Just hands on the hips, looking. And, all right, they're clearing out. All right, let's get this thing going. We ready?
We're getting close to being ready.
And I got to get ready.
All right, Paulie, quick question, because I saw it in the chat, and I don't know the answer. If you want to see the the roundtable,
make it a monologue if you want.
Can you just stay on the stream as it is right now, or do you have to go to a different
stream?
Whether
if you're on our channel or 97.3's channel on YouTube, there's going to be a new video that'll go for an hour, and then Annie and Elson will have a separate feed as well at 11. We're going to be streaming it on Facebook, 97.3 The Fan, and on X, 97.3.
All right, so if you're on our YouTube stream, we'll log out in just a minute, then go to the 97.3 The Fan YouTube page. There'll be a new roundtable show that you can join all of us, including Annie and Elston and Sammy Spring Training from Peoria, Arizona, that are going to be talking about, obviously, the Dylan Cease trade, but it's going to be a general preview of the season as well.
I'm excited to give some fresh perspective on the Dylan Cease trade.
Have you been holding back?
I've been. I hope so.
Son of a.
You should see.
You left your one best take for the roundtable coming up.
All the goods I've been sitting on.
All right, and we've got our Friday show tomorrow, and we will wrap up the week. We can talk some Aztecs. We will also bring you one of our annual traditions, since St. Patrick's Day falls on the weekend this year.
So we're green tomorrow. Tomorrow is our St.
Tomorrow
Patrick's
will be
Day.
our St. Patrick's Day. That includes, of course, the great news report from
Crichton.
Alabama.
The Crichton section of Mobile.
Alabama.
Nothing
coming
better.
up tomorrow on Ben and Woods. For our executive producer and imaging director, Paul Rindle, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. We'll see you in 6 minutes here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.